I'm still recording, but that was great.
How dare you? How dare you?
No, it looks good, though.
Yeah, I know you've seen better. We've all seen better. Instagram exists. There are people who
Jason
already
Statham
have...
exists.
He doesn't have better abs than I do.
He's also like twice your age.
Yeah, but like even in his prime.
Vin Diesel has better abs than you.
In Photoshop.
No, he's the most ripped, jacked, egg-looking man out there.
He's so ripped. He's also way taller than he seems in real life.
Yeah, he's like 6'7".
Yeah, obviously. He stands next to The Rock, right?
Well, I mean, they're the same height.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course they are.
Obviously.
Why wouldn't they be?
Him, John Cena, and The Rock are all the same height.
They're all the same height, and
so
they're
is Jason
all
Statham.
related in the Fast and the Furious universe. Hey, so, okay. I know that you binge-watched all of the Fast and the Furious, and it sent you down a spiral of depression. Yeah. I can tell you why.
Oh, why?
It's because you're watching a universe that is so disconnected from reality that there's no way you could feel coming back to reality other than like, wow, that's definitely never how anything's going to be. I got to tell you, I watched the beginning. Well, it must have been the first like 30 minutes of Fast X, and I was like, I can't fucking with this thing. I can't. Nope. Like, straight up.
So you still don't know anything about this franchise, really?
I don't need to know anything about they give you the whole plot in the beginning. It's Jason Momoa, and
only
he's
for
like,
number 5.
Oh, Daddy, we're in the office, Daddy. We're going to go rob a bank, Daddy. And his dad's like, yeah, that's what's up. We're going to show these people what's going on. Look at this safe. That's going to be important later. And then sure enough, it's the stupid safe scene that I've seen before that everybody's like, oh, my God, they were dragging these safes on the cars. Straight up. Okay, when that safe hits the first immovable object, those cars crash into each other. That's just the physics. It's the
suspension of disbelief. It's the suspension of disbelief.
Fuck the suspension of disbelief. It should have been an anime. If it was an anime, I'll suspend disbelief till the fucking cows don't come home. Right? Like I will go forever on that shit. But if you're gonna tell me we're in a universe where physics matters because we're drifting, right? And then all of a sudden the physics of a gigantic safe full of money doesn't matter. Fuck off. Get out. No, I'm not doing that. And then the whole bomb turning into like a giant game of Roman pinball. I was like,
oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not, because
are you sure?
And yes, because then the bad guy's like, yes, this is exactly what I planned for. I wanted it to
Did you get to the point
all over Rome so that it's rolling right toward the Vatican. That's what I planned.
Yeah, but
even
did
though
you get
it's
to the
rolled
point?
Another 5 miles? No,
but did you get to the point where he hits the crane with his car, and then the crane hits the bomb?
That's when I stopped.
And that's the best part.
I legitimately stopped watching. And of course, it's like the moment, like it's the Fast and Furious moment. Like that franchise should have, they should have just changed the name to like Nitrous Unlimited. Like that's what it should have been called. Vin Diesel's Nitrous Dreams Unlimited. Like that's because it seems like he's just huffing the stuff and like writing these scripts. He's like, and then Vin's gonna, and then fucking Charlize Theron shows up and she's just bleeding all of it. She's like, you're gonna want to hear what I have to say, even though I've killed people. Like.
Yeah, she's from 8 and 9. She's gonna be another bad guy turned good.
Vin Diesel's like, I'll kill anybody who fucks with my family. And then she shows up half dead on his doorstep. And she's like, I know I killed some of your family and that you'll kill anybody who fucks with your family, but you're going to want to hear this. And it's like.
She actually didn't kill anybody in Vin Diesel's family.
No?
No,
He was like, give me a reason and I'll kill you right now. And she's like.
Honestly?
She's like, because you're going to want to hear this story about Jason Momoa.
No.
And Jason Momoa's like, I'm just avenging my dad. Dad.
Okay, well, Charlize Theron this doesn't matter, but she kills one of his love interests that he has a kid from.
That's his family!
Yeah.
That's a baby mama!
Okay,
ask anybody who's ever been on Maury.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
Family.
I forgot about her.
That's either I'm sorry or congratulations, you are the family. Like that's what that is. ready to clap, Odie?
I'm ready to clap.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, every single time, on time. Welcome back to another episode of the Unpop Podcast. It is a pop culture potpourri, if you may, a pinball game of pop culture references, of which we are playing, and I am the captain, todo siempre, he, him, Kevin Miner, and with me, as always, is...
Odie Matthews, the chef, cooking up the wonderful content as we pinball a bomb through Rome, them.
God damn it.
You said pinball.
This is what you planned.
You did this to yourself.
And then Odie is just standing there, and they're like, "This is what I planned for the entire time. It's rolling toward the Vatican, baby." Like, fucking A.
Boom.
Oh my god.
You want me to blow up the Vatican? I'll do it, but you're going to hell.
That was actually okay. That was fun. He's fun.
Yeah, it was.
Jason Momoa is fun.
He's fun.
I want to see him in more fun roles, the same way John Hamm did more fun roles. Like when he when he first left Mad Men, he was in like all these like weird shows that were like kind of a comedy or a dark comedy.
Good Omens. He's great in.
Oh my god, he's so good in Good Omens. Yeah.
You know what I would love to see?
More Jason Momoa and John Hamm in a buddy cop comedy. Absolutely.
I want to see because
Hawaii 10-0.
I want to see Jason Statham. Oh my God! What's his name? John Hamm and Jason Momoa in a road trip buddy movie, because we've seen Jason Statham like in the movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
He is hilarious. Yeah. He's hilarious.
Here's what I want. It's not Weekend at Bernie's, but whoever Jason Statham plays, he's the dead guy, and John Hamm and Jason Momoa have to get him somewhere, right? That's what I want.
You know, there's a movie coming out with Zac Efron.
Yeah.
About 3 friends who made up a 4th friend, and anytime they want to do something, they just say, "Oh, this friend is like having this thing or doing this thing or has cancer or whatever," and it's their excuse to go like party and do stuff without anybody in their lives knowing what they're actually up to. Sounds really dumb.
But then I'm gonna guess. Can I guess that the initial conflict of the film is someone is going to show up and actually be that friend?
Yep. Yeah. I have a feeling that's probably what it is.
Yeah, and then they're gonna get conned, and they're gonna be like, and then the moral of the story is don't lie to your friends.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Or your wife.
Oh
or
wow.
Whoever.
Yeah, Odie, we saw it. We saw that movie. We saw it just now.
We did.
Yeah, the whole thing. It was great.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it.
I'm glad we've seen that movie already before it came out. Good job. What movie or TV series or book you're talking about? Something just go. I'm
gonna set the stage. You ready?
I'm losing steam.
I'm doing a deep dive.
Book,
and
TV. What franchise are we delving into?
I'm gonna set the scene right now. Okay. So if you will, you have 2 brothers.
Two brothers.
And their father, right? Okay.
Yep. I'm holding my hand up high. That's where the dad is.
What, in heaven?
I don't know, wherever. Our Father, who art in, and I don't know.
Okay. So we got these 2 brothers, right?
Yeah, 2 brothers.
And their dad is coming up. He's doing well. Mm-hmm. He's about to make it big.
Real big.
And then tragedy strikes, right?
Okay.
Dad's out of the picture.
He's gone.
Now,
does he die?
One brother,
is he dead?
One brother.
Okay, one of the brothers
takes it and goes, "Okay, like I know this happened, and I'm gonna do my best to get through it, right?"
Okay.
The other brother,
he's powering through.
He's got some anger issues.
Okay. He's pissed.
And he almost kills a man.
Okay.
Like just straight up,
with his fists.
Almost kills him, right?
With his fists. Beats him.
And then, pretty much. Then, right? So this one brother goes away.
Yeah.
Goes to juvie, goes to jail. Has to do some time because he beat somebody up.
I feel like this is alternate universe Harry Potter or something. What is this? All right, keep going.
I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. So then, he finds out that the other brother might have had something to do with the dad's accident, right?
Oh my God.
So when he gets out of jail, he confronts his brother and goes, "Listen, get the fuck out of here. You're not welcome anymore."
Okay. Where's he?
Of course.
He was already out of there.
Talking.
He wasn't around him. That's okay.
Well, yeah, now he's mad because
he goes to him and then says, "Get out of here."
Yeah, basically.
He's like, you've been here, but now get out.
Now leave.
All right. Okay, keep going.
Now, I, of course, am talking about Dom and Jacob Toretto. We are talking about the Fast and the Furious today, baby.
Why? Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Percy Jackson.
Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious.
I legitimately had no idea what you were talking about the entire time, even though I did an entire intro about how bad the first 30 minutes of that other movie. Okay. All right. Up. You might as well lock me in now, Odie.
So I think it's really funny that you opened with that because my plan all along.
It was supposed to be Percy Jackson.
All along, my plan was to throw you off the scent so you would never see this coming.
I even told people this morning. I was like, I'm going to go hear all about Percy Jackson, which is great because I don't know about Percy Jackson, but I know a lot about Greek mythology. Like, I was pretty pumped. Good. I was going to sit down. I was thinking about it this morning. I was making my coffee. I was like, they have Greek gods in the Magic the Gathering universe. That's pretty cool too. Theros, I really like that.
But Fast and Furious is in Fortnite, so I mean,
fucking go.
So not only are we talking about Fast and Furious, no notes, baby. We're doing this off the dome.
I also have no notes, but I'm going to be chiming in.
I don't need notes to tell you all about this wonderful 11-movie franchise.
You psychopath.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you watch all of it. You become a psychopath, and now you have to subject people to the thing that you love. That's also apparently that's part of being an adult male for a lot of guys too, right? Like it's like, by the way, I'm psychotic now, and you're all subjected to the things I'm passionate about. I'm going to tell you all about it, whether you want to or not. Hey, you, semi-interesting girl standing over there. Are you ready for a half an hour conversation about Dune?
Well, to be fair, you also can't leave because you committed to this.
I'll hang up again.
So,
I'll do it again.
You can hang up, but this is gonna be the next hour is just gonna be me being like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
You're like, I'm glad Kevin's not here to interrupt me. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about the Fast and Furious universe.
Yes, we are, baby.
And in this universe, the Dom said, "Let there be light," and it was good. And then he said, "Let there be drifting," and it was decent. And then he said, "Let there be Tokyo Drift," and it was bad. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
So start from the beginning.
I want to say, I'm gonna start with this. Yes, this franchise is bad. Yes, it has a lot wrong with it. But it's still pretty fun to watch.
You know what?
I'm not gonna lie.
You've won me over as an audience member to your TED talk about your TEDx talk about FastX and all the fastest, all the X's and all the Furiouses, because you admitted right off the bat it's bad.
Oh, it is bad. I don't see myself turning on one of these movies again, maybe even ever.
Whoa.
There's a solid chance that the last one I will watch is Fast X Part 2, and then I will never watch one of these movies again. But watching all 11 over the course of 2 days.
Wait, there's 11 of them?
Yeah, because you have the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, but we're not going to talk about that one. We're only talking about the mainline movies in this deep dive. We are not going to talk about Hobbs and Shaw because as of right now, there is no tie-in back to the main storyline. That was a one-off story left on a cliffhanger that they are never going to touch again.
Okay.
So, to me, it exists separately.
Can I try to summarize the beginning of the Fast and the Furious? Can I reach back into my memory, my childhood memory, and see if I can
of the very
do this?
first Fast and Furious?
Yeah. Like you did with Dune, right? Let me get as far as I can. Cut me off.
Okay.
Cut me off when I start messing it up. Right?
Okay.
All right.
Let's go.
So it all starts with a very handsome man. He's not bald.
You're wrong.
And his name is Paul Walker. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a cop. Right? Mm-hmm. He's a cop. And the cops are like, but he likes to drive fast.
And furious.
And furiously. Yes. He's a fast and furious police officer. And they're like, you're too fast and furious for normal assignments. We're going to put you on a special assignment. You've got to infiltrate this racing ring because we think that they're up to something bad.
Nope.
Right?
You're already wrong.
Hold on.
No, you're wrong.
Hold on. So
it's not a racing ring.
Whatever it is. But like, then people are robbing they're robbing a like 18-wheeler full of DVD full of DVD,
2001,
right?
baby.
Full of
2001.
It was an 18-wheeler full of DVD consoles, right?
And like TV.
Yeah,
it was
like
TV,
Sony
DVD
stuff.
combos. Yeah.
Like a Best Buy trailer gets robbed.
And they're making millions off of it.
Millions, because that's what that would have been worth back then.
They even say that it's like millions of dollars of merchandise.
Well, I mean, TVs back then for like even like a 50-inch was like $500, right? So like,
yeah,
I get it.
And these are semi-trucks.
So but then they've got like these cars that are really low to the ground. They can drive under the trucks, right? Like that was pretty crazy. So Paul Walker's got to like find these guys and bust them, right? And he's like, I think that guy and his Hispanic sister are the ones that are doing it, right? We're talking about Michelle Rodriguez and Dom Toretto, right? I don't know.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Is Michelle Rodriguez?
Michelle Rodriguez is kid. Yeah, Letty. That's his love interest. His sister is Mia.
Oh, whatever. Okay, so, but then Mia likes Paul, right? You know what? I'm fucking up already. You just take over.
Yeah. You've already robbed.
I'm like,
you're like, and this person's in this movie, right? Like, does this person exist?
And then there's an Asian guy, and then they race for pink slips in the desert. Like,
oh my god, you just jumped to like the third movie and then like the fourth movie.
And then they gotta rob a truck at the end, and someone's standing on the front of a car. You just take over, Odie.
Jesus style. Okay, so we're gonna do this chronological. We're not going to do this in movie order.
Okay.
We're going to do this in the actual timeline that has been presented to us in the wonderful, fantastic suspension of disbelief universe that is the Furious and Fast franchise.
So we're going to start with Dominic Toretto and John Cena's dad dying in a car crash.
Yeah,
okay.
So what I was setting up in the beginning, and I was trying to keep it vague because I didn't want you to catch on, but I wanted to make sure I set the scene right.
Yeah.
So Dom and Jacob Toretto, with their crewman buddy, played by Michael Rooker, are in what is the stock car circuit. So like right before NASCAR or whatever that would be. And basically
the Bush League of NASCAR.
Bush League. Yeah, I guess it's very vague. I mean, the track is very small and it does not look professional. It looks like people just, showed up with cars and were like, we're going to race in a circle today. And everyone was like, okay. But anyways,
Lebanon
you find
Valley
out that
Speedway.
Mr. Toretto, the dad, he got signed to like join the NASCAR, like the league above, and
he's gonna go up in NASCAR.
Yeah, basically.
He's gonna turn.
And there's another guy.
His entire life.
Yeah, basically. One half quarter mile at a time.
Yeah.
But basically, what ends up happening, and this you find this out in Fast 9.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, F9.
Yeah.
The Fast Saga. That's what the actual name of the movie is. You find out that basically he was trying to throw the race because he owed some people money or something, and if he threw the race, then the debt would be cleared. It's not really said. It's very vague. And you find out that he enlisted the help of Jacob Toretto, played by John Cena, not until the 9th movie. But don't worry, Dom has a brother this entire time, so keep that in mind.
He just never mentions it.
Yeah. Never mentions it until 9 movies later. Yeah. And basically, you find out that he sabotaged the car, and because this other racer that was jealous hit him, he went into the wall, he exploded, he died. Then Dom Toretto beat that guy almost to death with a wrench, with a tire iron, or a wrench or something. And Dom goes to juvie, like I said, and when he gets out, he finds out that Jacob sabotaged his dad's car. Now, instead of like, you have a brother, I have a brother. Instead of just going to your brother and being like, hey, like, why'd you do this? Like, what happened? And then he could have just been like, oh, like, Dad made me promise not to say anything, but I didn't know he was going to die. He told me to help sabotage the car. Yeah. That conversation doesn't happen. Instead, Dom goes, you race me, and if you lose, you leave and you never come back. And if I win, we're friends again.
Okay. That makes sense because this is the Fast and the Furious universe, right? So everything has to be solved with a race or some sort of car stunt. Got it.
There are multiple instances in this franchise where just two people that could have just had a conversation would have solved everything.
But that's how they talk. And they talk with their cars.
They talk with their cars. So basically, Jacob leaves and you don't see him again.
Is it a drag race? Do they have a drag race?
It's a drag race.
Okay. Yeah. So straight away.
And so basically. So Jacob leaves. He doesn't come back for 9 movies. Yeah. So then, chronologically, the next thing we pick up in is the start of The Fast and the Furious, the first movie in the franchise.
Okay.
So the whole plot of the first movie, it sets up Paul Walker is working undercover.
Yep.
And the LA police, working in conjunction with the FBI, believe that Dominic Toretto, who has a long rap sheet of, misdemeanors and racing and, aggravated assaults and all other kinds of stuff, that they believe, for really no reason other than the fact that he's the main character, that he is the one behind these DVD heists.
Okay.
There is he runs an auto shop, and that's about it. And that's enough for them to be like, oh yeah, this guy that beat somebody to death like 20 years ago, or almost did, like, he must be the racer we're looking for.
So basically he's doing
like,
Pimp My Ride, and the FBI's like, that guy, that's the one right
yep,
there, the one with
literally
the Hispanic sister. Yes, him.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That actually tracks.
They're also,
that's very American.
You say vaguely Hispanic sister, and I just want to point out, one of the things that frustrates me about this franchise is Vin Diesel in real life is pretty much completely white, right? He doesn't know who his biological dad is, and he has said, Vin Diesel himself, he has said that he's like, I think I'm a mix of a bunch of different backgrounds. He thinks that he has like 9 ethnic backgrounds.
Well, it's probably like Mediterranean. Like, yeah.
So in the Fast and Furious franchise, it is hinted at that they're either Puerto Rican or Cuban, because they end up in Cuba, and there's a lot of like Puerto Rican flags in these franchise. So the two things that they made his character are two things that Vin Diesel is definitely not. Also, Jordana Brewster, who plays his sister, is also not either of those things, which is fine.
Whatever.
But that has like carried over into Vin Diesel's actual like personality.
You mean he's carried that over into his personality?
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird.
I'm here. But I'm eating a Cuban. Yeah. Would you say this is the best Cuban ever? What do you say, random person who I'm gonna grab and incorporate in this video? Oh.
Oh. I would say it is.
All right.
Oh. Anyways,
I can't
so
help.
characters that we have in this first movie, but don't get too attached because it's going to change every movie.
Yeah.
We have Dom Toretto, played by Vin Diesel. We have Paul Walker's character, who's Brian O'Connor. We have Michelle Rodriguez's character, who is Letty Ortiz.
Okay.
Real name Leticia, but she goes by Letty.
Leticia.
We have Jordana Brewster, who plays Mia Toretto, Dom's brother, and Paul Walker's character's love interest. Now, just so you know, I'm going to be switching back and forth between actors' names and characters because they're all the same at this point to me.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Then the only other person that's important in this first movie is one of the other crew members. His name is Leon. He comes back later on. There's also another crew member named Jesse. Spoiler alert, he dies.
Yep.
And then, that's pretty much it for characters. But basically,
that's
this first
a big,
one,
tough moment in that first one, right?
Yeah, we can speed run. No, it's not. It's breezed over so quickly.
You mean we can drag race the first one?
We can crank the NOS up and kind of just blast through these first couple movies
because
it doesn't really.
Paul Walker's investigating. They're stealing DVDs. They race for pink slips in the desert.
No.
All right.
Anyways, so the first movie basically, Paul Walker's character, Brian, he goes undercover.
Yeah.
He gets in too deep,
Yeah.
right? He ends up falling in love with Mia. He ends up kind of like having a soft spot for Dom.
Yeah.
And long story short, a lot of stuff happens, but they bond because Brian owes him a car, and the FBI is like, you're getting too close. And he's like, I need more time. And then, then Dom ends up doing another heist, but Jesse, the one that ends up dying, has disappeared. Because he raced in the desert. You're actually kind of correct. They do race wars in the desert.
Yeah, they do race wars in the desert.
But he loses, and instead of like surrendering his pink slip to the guy he loses to, he just leaves.
Yeah. And then that guy hunts him down.
Yeah, and then kills him later. So
That's
because
the
they're down
Asian
a guy.
right?
Yeah, Johnny Tran.
Johnny Tran.
Yeah, that's his character's name. So
what a weird name.
Dom tries to do a heist with a man down. But it turns out the semi-truck drivers all have shotguns now because they're tired of being stolen from.
I can't believe they didn't have those from the get-go.
Well, the thing that, again, like not to nitpick plot holes,
like,
but
these are truck drivers. Like, they definitely are First and Second Amendment dudes.
Well, but the thing is, it's like, as somebody who used to drive a truck, if somebody was like, we're going to steal everything from you, I would park that truck, hand them the keys, and be like, see ya, I don't care. It's not my money.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, these guys are trying to shoot people with shotguns, which would be murder. Like, they would not be innocent in that.
Yeah.
And anyways, so
okay, keep going.
Vince gets all messed up, and the heist doesn't go right, and then Brian and Mia show up to help Dom because they found out that the truck drivers are taking action. And basically, Brian ends up helping Dom escape and somehow does not. No, he does get fired from the police force. And that's pretty much where the first movie ends.
They're like, you can't be a cop no more because you were too fast and too furious. And that's
so
the
speaking
name
of Too Fast, Too
one.
Furious. So the first one is basically you meet all these characters and then they do a heist and then they become friends and then Brian lets him go.
The first one was
and
just
then Dom
an
doesn't
excuse
show.
to have a bunch of cool car footage.
Yeah, well, kind of. But anyways, we're 30 minutes in and I'm only through the first movie.
We might not get through all of them.
No, we are.
Okay.
Hope you're ready.
All right.
So Too Fast, Too Furious basically is Brian is in Miami.
Yeah.
And this is where we meet Tej, who's played by Ludacris. He owns, and this is very important here, he owns a very successful, very high-end auto shop that is not only on the water, where it hosts races with cars, races with jet skis, races with boats, has an entire maintenance crew, makes tons of money, has betting, just living the high life, right?
He's living the dream.
Keep that in mind, because that's going to come into play later.
Okay.
You meet Brian, basically, he's there, he's working with Tej, he's like trying to race, he's getting
Paul
in with
Walker,
the street
right?
gang. Yeah,
Okay.
Brian,
Yeah.
Paul Walker. He's street racing in Miami.
Okay.
And then, what's this? The FBI agent from the first movie, who I didn't mention because it's not important, goes to him and is like, hey, you're the only person that can help us with this thing that we have. Even though you are a disgraced cop and you were in LA and now you're in Miami, I need your help.
We know we
and
kicked
Brian,
you out, but you got to come back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Well, he's FBI. He worked for the LAPD, so it's a little different.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
So basically, they're like, hey, this evil drug pin guy, we have an undercover agent who's played by Eva Mendes. She does not come back, only in a post-credit scene, so don't expect much from her.
Okay.
She's just there to be gawked at. Basically, they're like, she's undercover. This guy is, he's evil, and he's got money, and he's going to transport it, and we need to catch him in the act so we can arrest him. And the only way to do that is if we send 2 drivers undercover, so he'll hire them to transport the money, but before that, you have to do a test where he tests you to see if you can drive, but he also has drivers that are going to follow you around that could probably drive the money for him, but no, he needs street driver racer people. Does that make sense?
I already hate this. Keep going.
So then they're like, this is the guy that's going to race with you, Brian. And it's this guy with like this big like McDonald's cup and he's eating a cheeseburger. And he's like, what is the spin ratio of a 2-ton car with a 3-axle NOS spinning doohickey shifting guy, right? He like quizzes him on car knowledge. And you can tell I really know a lot about cars with that sentence.
Wow.
And the police officer guy that's supposed to go with him is like, I don't know anything about cars. And Brian's like, this guy's a loser. If you want me to do this, then I got to bring in my own person. Cue Tyrese Gibson, Roman Pierce.
Okay.
So basically, Roman Pierce and Brian's history is that they were in, like, basically, like, Roman went to jail and Brian was a cop, and Roman thinks that Brian, his lifelong friend who was in, like, foster homes with him or something, like, ratted him out.
Is Dom Toretto in this one?
No.
What?
He doesn't come back to the 4th one.
What?
Yeah.
This is.
I'll get into it.
Right.
I'll get into it. All
right.
So
keep speed running.
Roman and Roman and Brian.
They were cop buddies. Now they're race buddies.
No, Roman was a criminal. Roman was a criminal, and Brian became a cop. And because Roman went to jail, he thinks that Brian, his best friend from childhood, sold him out because he was a cop, which is not the case,
but
right?
That's
like,
why he's just bringing him in, is because he's showing him he didn't sell him out, or.
Yeah, and because he's in Miami and Roman's in Miami, and he's like, this guy can drive. I need a driver friend.
This is my driver. And Roman's like,
basically.
You sent me to jail. And he's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
But we got to work with the feds now. And
Well,
Tyrese is just
spoiler
like,
alert,
I'm cool with that.
They're going to be friends.
Okay. All right, cool. Keep going.
So,
no, they're going to be family, Odie. They're going to be family.
Wait. So we're going to get into where the family trend actually started, because it's very important. It technically has already started, but I'm saving that to the end because I think it's really fucking funny.
It's in the beginning.
So,
it's in the first one. Dom Toretto's like, his family.
Okay, fine.
Right.
I'm just going to do this now because you're bringing it up, and I was going to wait, but you ruined it, Kevin. So here we go. The first person to mention family is Brian's police captain in the first movie.
Because he calls the police force a family?
No, because he says Dom and his family are going to get in trouble, right? Like, he's the one that says it.
In on it.
Yeah, and they're talking about actual family.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel's character does not call the ragtag group of people family and say that this is family and start saying like the whole I don't got friends, I got family thing.
Yeah.
Can you guess what movie that happens?
All right. Over under, I'm going to say 7.
5.
Oh, okay.
There are 4 movies where literally the police captain, who's only in the first movie, the FBI agent, who's only in 2 movies, then it's one of the characters in Tokyo Drift says it, and then literally Mia, Dom's sister, says it before Vin Diesel's character.
Okay.
Anyways, so Too Fast, Too Furious, they pass the test, right? They go and then
they're gonna drive drugs,
and then they get in, but then they're like, well, maybe the undercover agent is really turned, and maybe she's like not a good guy anymore. Spoiler alert, she is. And then they decide that they're gonna
the bad guy.
No, she's good. It's a fake
good.
out.
Eva Mendes.
Yeah, and so basically, Roman and Brian, they end up doing the drive, and it's so like this one's hard to watch because the thing that they need. Okay, so they're driving money from his compound to his plane. Hang on, it gets worse.
Okay,
it's like a 10-mile stretch, right?
Yeah.
Now, a big plot point in this whole thing is that they need no cops, right? They need to make sure that the cops are not going to be a problem.
No cops.
So they kidnap like this police person, chief, captain guy, and they torture him into being like, I'll give you a 15-minute window where there'll be no cops on your road, right?
They torture him into a 15-minute window?
Yeah.
What?
And so they torture him by putting a rat on his chest and then putting a bucket over the rat and heating up the bucket so it starts to claw at his chest.
That's medieval. Yeah. Okay. Classic.
Yeah. So here's the thing that's so funny about this movie is, for one, I already mentioned the evil bad guy already has 2 people that are driving around doing stuff for him, right? The money that they need to pick up is in a mobile home trailer park, and it's in the walls.
Okay, that doesn't make sense.
So,
okay.
Here's the thing. This guy's plan, right, was I need to hire 2 street racers, put them through a test, and have my guys who are already driving follow them around so to make sure that they're not bad. And then I'm going to send them with my 2 drivers who can already drive to this mobile home park place to pick up the money and then drive the money to the airstrip. But I also need to make sure...
This is the worst drug kingpin ever.
But I also need to make sure that there's no cops on the road. But the cops wouldn't have known I was doing this unless I captured one and forced him to give me a window. But then the cop that they captured ends up selling him out anyways. Yeah. And the cops are already at the trailer park waiting for them. And all this to be said, all the drug king guy should have done is just hired any plain Jane person to just go to the mobile home park, fill up some bags, and then just drive it to his house.
It sounds like this dude just didn't invest enough in his own private property. Like, I mean, really, like, why not just own a place that has an airstrip, maybe?
He does! That's the thing. He has a yacht and a plane and a mansion.
Too Fast, Too Furious. Unnecessary drug race. Got it. Okay.
So basically it ends where they, instead of going to the airstrip, they end up going to the yacht because it was a fake out. And then they steal some of the money and the bad guy goes to jail and,
Woo! They did it. Good job, Tyrese. And
now you might be thinking, now we're going to go to Tokyo.
Yes.
Wrong. We're going to the Dominican Republic because technically Fast and Furious, just that, Fast and Furious, no thes, is the 4th movie in the franchise, but chronologically it's the 3rd movie in the franchise.
Okay, hold on. So Fast and Furious 2, though, we do have to give it its credit. This is where Move Bitch by Ludacris comes in, right? The song Move Bitch by Ludacris.
Move Bitch.
And then also There's another banger by Ludacris on that one. I forget what it is, but Ludacris was at like what's great about Fast and Furious 2 is Ludacris was at like the peak of his hype, right? And so he just dropped like a couple real hot singles for this album. Crushed it, right? Ludacris probably made more off Too Fast, Too Furious than anyone else.
Well, it's funny because you know why Ludacris even ended up in the Fast and Furious franchise?
You mean Chris Bridges? Yes. Why?
So Ja Rule is in the first Fast and Furious, right?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. From Murder Inc., baby. All right.
He refused to come back because he was like, this franchise is stupid. It's not going to go anywhere.
Ja Rule, you messed up.
And so they brought in Ludacris, and now, look at him now.
And then
Ja
Rule got stuck with Firefest. Okay, got it. So,
yeah.
All right, so we're going to...
we're going to the Dominican Republic.
Fast and Furious, Dominican Republic. Here we go. All right, cool. So I go to the Dominican Republic every year, so this is going to be a great one.
So maybe you can do this heist that they do. So
I will do this heist.
It picks up with Dom and Letty and Han and
Wait, so Dom's back. He's just back.
Dom's back. Dom's back.
Is this happening concurrently with the second one? Or is it right after the second one?
This is literally... So this would have taken place like probably... So the timeline doesn't make... There's not... Okay. Don't worry about like how many years have passed. There is a point in this franchise where a kid is born and then like a year and a half later they find out the kid is born and the kid is still a baby somehow.
Are you telling me that this timeline does not make sense?
There's a...
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Does it open up with Brian or Dom?
It opens up with Dom, right? So Dom and Letty and Han.
All right, keep going.
And then Dawn with an N, and Tego, who are the like funny comic reliefs that show up in the... Yeah.
Okay.
So
like Fago or like Lego?
Tego. Tego.
Okay, Lego.
So the plot of this one is Dom is in the Dominican Republic because he vanished after the first one. He went on the run. He was a wanted man.
Well, he crashed his car at the end of the first one.
And then Brian gave him his car and he escaped.
Yeah.
And that's why Brian got fired.
Okay.
So this one picks up in the Dominican Republic and they're heisting fuel, right? So It opens up with this big car heist where this tanker truck is going down a mountain and they're hooking up and taking the gas and everything. Okay. But it ends with that really infamous scene where Brian's at the end of the mountain or end of the hill and there's what did they call it? Tanker? Yeah. A tanker rolling towards him on fire, and he drifts under it just before it can hit him, and then it explodes as he drives away. It's got that wonderful opening. So this is what's going to start what I like to call it's Dom's fault. And this is something that I did on my deep dive when I watched all these movies for my video essay I'm still working on.
Okay.
This starts the series of from number 4 all the way up to number 10. Okay. Everything wrong that happens is Dom's fault.
Okay.
So Dom decides, hey, this is really dangerous. What we're doing is dangerous. And I love Letty. So the only way I can protect her is if I leave in the middle of the night and never speak to her again. Okay. Right? Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, totally.
So because he does that, that's where it switches over. So he leaves in the middle of the night with like a bunch of money. He leaves his infamous necklace and he's like, this is too dangerous, Letty. I love you. I don't want to get you killed. So instead of just taking all this money and retiring somewhere, I'm going to leave you. Bye.
That's not very family.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
All right.
So then it cuts over. We're back with Brian. Brian is an FBI agent because of his success with the second movie. The FBI recruited him. Okay. He's an FBI agent now.
Whoa, and now he's a Fed again.
He's working.
Right, got it.
He's working on, basically there's this big drug kingpin in Mexico. His name is Campos.
Oh,
and he's running drugs. Yeah, that's it happens a lot.
Okay.
So he's trying to figure out what's going on because he's running drugs from Mexico into California.
Okay.
And then, would you believe it?
I would.
You find out Letty was murdered.
I believe it.
Yeah. So then that brings Dom.
But she wasn't actually murdered, right?
Yeah, that's going to start another thing that I like to call this person's not actually dead.
Okay.
So Dom finds out that, Letty was killed, right? Because he comes back to California. He sees, there's a really infamous shot where like they're at the funeral and all the FBI agents are around, and then it pans really far away up on a hill, and Dom's just sitting there with his arms crossed like 3 miles away. Looking down at the funeral. Why are there a
bunch of like FBI agents at her funeral?
Because they think that Dom's going to show up and he's still a wanted man.
But he did.
Yeah, but he's not, he's up on a hill.
Is the FBI just really incompetent in this universe? Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool.
So basically, kind of speedrunning these first ones because it doesn't get good until 5.
Yeah,
but it finds out that the person who had Letty killed is the drug kingpin Campos, right? And then
Campos
Brian.
Campos.
Campos.
Oh, Campos.
Yes.
Campos.
Played by the wonderful John Ortiz, actually. And one of the henchmen named Phoenix is played by Mother's Milk from The Boys.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Also, Campos' right-hand woman is Giselle, Gal Gadot's character, who shows up later on, obviously. So her origin is literally she worked for a drug kingpin, and then Dom was like, "You're all right, come work with me."
She was like, "Okay." Can you drive cars? And she was like, "Sure." Okay.
I never drove one in this movie, but I can in the later movies.
All right.
Yeah. So again, going back to the second one, the drug kingpin needs to make sure that these people can drive, because the way that they transport the drugs from Mexico to California is they drive through a tunnel.
So he's going to test them again.
Yeah. Okay. And Dom wins, and Brian doesn't get the seat. So
Dom becomes
they do this
the
thing.
Drug kingpin's driver.
Yeah, but then Brian, being an FBI agent, is like, I have to do this. So he plants drugs on one of the other drivers and then takes their spot.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay.
Basically, you're the one who's the most exasperated here. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this dumb shit.
No, I'm doing this all from memory. As we're going
through this, I can feel you getting more exasperated with trying to explain.
It's just because these first 3 are
shit that's going on.
It gets better after this.
Oh,
but
sure.
Basically, they end up working for the drug kingpin.
Okay.
Blah 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 blah. You find out that Brian is the one that sent Letty. Letty came to Brian, and Brian sent her undercover, which resulted in her quote unquote death. Brian and Dom end up kind of being frenemies for this one.
Vin Diesel's like, "Why didn't you tell me? I thought she was dead." All right.
And he was like, "You disappeared, dude. You were in the Dominican Republic. What was I supposed to do?" But again, going back to my point, because Dom was too stupid to just have a conversation with Letty, and he left, she went to Brian to, basically still do stuff. Okay. And because he left her, she quote unquote died. So this whole thing is his fault. Right? It is.
Okay.
And so it ends with basically they arrest the drug kingpin guy,
Campos.
And Dom also gets arrested, and he goes to trial, and he's sent to 25 years to life in prison.
Wow.
And this movie ends with Brian and Mia and some other people breaking him out of the bus.
And Letty?
They flip the bus. No, Letty's dead.
No, she's not.
She doesn't come back till 6.
Okay.
So they break him out of the bus, and then Fast and Furious number 4 ends with, them back together. So then we pick up with Fast 5, which is the
no Tokyo
intro
Drift
scenes. Yet? No Tokyo Drift yet.
God damn it.
So when you watch Fast X, all the flashback scenes for Fast 5 is now what you're going to get to learn even more about. So Brian, Mia, and Dom.
Wait, is Jason Momoa in Fast 5?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
Keep going.
So they go to Brazil. And again, continuing with everything is Dom's fault.
Is there a drug kingpin?
Yes.
Is there a theme here?
Don't do drugs or steal from
see
drugs.
How good they are at driving, so they can drive.
No,
drugs?
This one they finally dropped the whole "let me test people" thing. Now, I will say this to me is probably the best movie in the franchise.
Okay. In Brazil.
Genuinely, it's a really fun
Where
time.
Are they?
So,
Sao
Paulo? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. No, Rio. They're in Rio. They're in Rio.
Rio
Sorry.
de Janeiro.
So remember Vince that I briefly mentioned from the first movie?
Nope.
Yeah, he's in this. He's in Brazil.
Great. Good for you, Vince. What are you doing in Brazil? Are you driving?
He has a family. And he's doing illegal work.
Family, and he's doing illegal. Does he leave them in the middle of the night?
No.
Okay.
So Brian and Mia show up in Brazil. And they meet up with Vince, and they're like, "Where's Dom?" And they're like, "Dom's on his way. He got held up." I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't recognize him from anything. I think actually after Fast 5, I think he didn't act again.
Does he die?
So, would you let me just tell the story, Kevin? So Vince is like, "Hey, I got this job. It's good money. It's easy. We're just heisting some cars. I know Dom's not here yet, but we can handle it, right?" So then there's a train. There's a train with some cars in the back. And so they pull up alongside the train and they cut open the side of the train and they're going to steal these cars, right? Now, as they're about to steal the cars, Dom shows up out of nowhere.
Whoa.
He's like, "I'm here, guys. I'm ready to help."
I'm here.
And now
I'm family.
There's Vince, Mia, Brian, and Dom. The 4 characters we know and love because we've had so much time.
We love them all.
There's 2,
just like old times.
No name, or might be more than 2. There's a couple no name, just
drivers.
Generic bad guy henchmen, right? They're there to help drive the cars.
Okay.
Now they're like, "Hey, we're taking the GT5 car, right?" They're like, "We're gonna take this one," and Dom for no reason is like, "No,
you can't have it.
I'm taking that car." So unprompted, for no reason whatsoever, Dom just decides, "I'm not gonna trust these people." He has no reason not to.
Yeah,
they're all committing a crime.
Yeah,
right. And so again, because Dom didn't just let them take that car, which had a special, you'll find out later, it has a special chip that has the location of all these cash houses for the drug kingpin.
Okay.
Right? Dom didn't know that, though. Dom was just like, "Oh, you want that car? That's suspicious for no reason. You're not allowed to."
You don't get
right?
that
Just,
car.
they're all criminals.
Yeah.
And so basically, there's some federal agents from America on the train in Brazil for some reason.
Okay.
And they get shot and killed. And then
the
Dom,
feds are there.
Yeah, Dom, Brian, and Mia get framed for the murder. So now we enter Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
So he's the new Fed.
He is what is it? It's not DEA. He's some special task force guy person.
I gotta go take down Dom Toretto.
Literally, there's a line where Brian's like, Brian makes a line when he finds out that Luke Hobbs is after him. He's like, "Luke Hobbs is the guy you send to find the devil when no one else can," or something. It's some cheesy
what?
"This guy's the real deal," right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm trying to find Reyes. That's his name. Reyes is the Kingpin's name.
Okay.
I brought up the cast list because I need names of characters.
Is Kings. Got it.
Kings Reyes. So Luke Hobbs shows up and basically some stuff happens and they decide because they stole the car that they wanted. They find the chip and they're like, "Oh, we could steal tons of money and then, we could retire and disappear," which we could have done in the Dominican Republic because we had tons of money, but this time it's different.
Okay.
So then they call in the team, right? Now this is where it really becomes Dom's fault. So Dom calls in Giselle from the 4th one, Han, who technically, Gal Gadot, Han, who we technically already met in Tokyo Drift, but that movie hasn't happened yet, so prequel. The 2 comic relief guys, Omar and Tego, that I told you about.
Okay.
Roman,
Tyrese Gibson,
and Tej. Yep, and Ludacris.
And
so here's
they're
the thing.
the real comic duo type.
Roman and Tej morph into being the comic relief. They do not start off that way.
No.
In the second movie, Roman is a very he's kind of he's eccentric in the way that he sometimes is but he's very straight-laced in a lot of ways.
Okay.
He does not become the goofy guy that we meet until it doesn't matter.
Okay.
None of these characters are consistent. So here's why this is also Dom's fault. Dom knows they are being hunted by a federal agent.
Yep.
He knows that bringing people in when he's a wanted man makes them an accessory to him, a federally wanted man.
Yes.
Tej operates and owns a very successful garage in Miami.
Okay.
Roman got away in the second movie with tons of extra money.
Okay.
Giselle and Dom had 5 minutes of screen time together in the 4th movie.
Okay.
Han you're supposed to believe they have this wonderful and close relationship, but again, he's in one scene in the 4th movie, and then that's it. We've never seen him with Dom before because they're not in the same movie together in number 3.
Okay.
So he brings in all these people, and then Luke Hobbs, being the genius that he is like, flag if any of his known associates flew into the country. And then they all become Interpol, like, worldwide most wanted people, right? So he just fucked over all his friends by making them internationally wanted people.
Because he called them in for the job.
Because he called them in for a heist he wants to commit against somebody that he has, realistically, like, no reason to be that upset with, because Dom's not that much better.
Yeah.
So then it kind of starts this cat and mouse game where Elena, who is a local Rio de Janeiro cop, she's working with Hobbs. She's the baby mama. Later on.
Who's baby mama?
Dom's later on.
What?
And you find out they have a kid together. So she becomes his new love interest because Letty's still dead.
Is she the one who gets killed?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
In 8.
All right.
Spoiler alert. This whole thing is spoilers. But basically, they plan out this heist. And like I said, I do genuinely think this one's fun to watch because there's actually... Because it's also directed by Justin Lin, who is awesome.
Yeah.
You might know him from...
From that video where Vin Diesel has taken him hostage and is trying to get him to say that the movie's good?
Yes, that one. Yeah. So there's a lot of good moments in this movie where, like, they're like, oh, we need cars that blend in. So they go and steal cop cars.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, like, this doesn't work. We need to change the plan up. So then, you know, like, there are some genuinely good story beats where they're like, oh, this thing, oh, we can't do it. Let's do this instead. Like, it kind of... It flows really well, right? I mean, there are stupid points in it, don't get me wrong. But it ends with Dom and Brian put a tracker on Hobbs's vehicle.
Yeah.
And they think that they have a window to complete the heist. And then Hobbs shows up. There's a really big fight scene between Vin Diesel and The Rock where neither of them can lose because it's in their contracts.
Yes.
And then
so they punch each other in the face a bunch.
So Vince, Mia, Brian, and Dom get arrested.
Yep.
And they're getting transported. And that's when Reyes, the kingpin, sends his people after them and basically kills all of Hobbs's team. But then because Brian and Dom were able to escape their shackles, they actually save Hobbs's life by shooting the bad guys, right? To prove, hey, like, we're not that bad. Yeah, we've killed a lot of people, and we steal money, and we break the law.
They just killed more people.
Yeah, but those were bad guys, and they killed Hobbs's team,
Whatever.
So he's mad.
Okay.
Vince gets shot. Vince dies.
Okay.
Boo-hoo. No one cares.
Yeah. We didn't even know
so then Hobbs,
the actor's name. It's
so
fine.
Yeah. So then Hobbs, who is this straight-laced lawman, no-nonsense, bullshit-taking kind of guy, all of a sudden is like, okay, like, I'll help you guys. Like, what do you need from me?
Okay.
And then the heist takes place where they steal the vault. They tear up downtown, like you were saying, as soon as it hits an immovable object.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
And Jason Momoa's there.
Well, in flashbacks he is, but in the movie he's not.
In the movie, is there a Gatling gun?
There is a guy that is very clearly not Jason Momoa doing that.
Is he doing the Gatling gun in the flashback later?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's wow.
Mm-hmm.
Retcon. This is so dumb. All right, keep.
You're loving it.
No, I'm not. But go on.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that you love this, and I'm definitely that. What you're doing is you're saving me from ever having to consume all of these movies.
I'm hoping I'm saving more people too. Like, if you're listening to this, I hope this is helping you realize
you don't need to watch
these movies.
You don't need to.
Yeah, you don't.
Unless you like cars. If you like looking at cool cars on a big screen, watch it. Right?
Or if you want to get, like, stoned out of your mind, any of these movies are more fun.
But if you like cool cars, I think, like, it's better to watch, what's the Top Gear, you know?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Right.
So they get the safe, right? They're on the bridge. Reyes is there. Yep. Hobbs shoots Reyes a couple times.
Boom, boom.
And then Hobbs is like, I can't let you escape with this money. Like, I'm still a lawman.
Reyes Jason Momoa's dad?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I mean, I was kind of saving that for the 10th movie, but
whatever.
yeah, Dante is Reyes' son.
Okay.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
So,
and they clearly named him Dante because he's going to put Dom through hell. Got it. Okay.
Dante Inferno.
Yeah, wow. Dante Alighieri,
clever.
the guy who wrote the Inferno.
So Hobbs goes back to being the lawman, and he's like, "You have 24 hours, Toretto, and then I'm coming for you."
Okay.
And Toretto's like, "Okay."
So he gives him a head start.
We'll see about that, buddy. And then you find out that Elena, the cop, ends up going to work for Hobbs because all the cops in Rio were corrupt because they were working for Reyes.
Okay.
And then you find out that they switched the safe out. So the safe that Hobbs opens up is empty, right? And they have all the money. And then it ends with everybody kind of going their separate ways because everybody's got like $11 million, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is the point that this is why I brought up in the second movie that Tej
Yeah.
owned a very successful garage, because there is a line in this movie where they're like, what are you going to do with all your money? And Tej is like, I've always just wanted to open up a simple mechanic garage and work on people's cars.
But he had
the thing that you were fucking doing?
Yeah. I don't know, whatever. Okay. Yeah.
So he does that, and then the movie ends with, everybody's happy and rich.
So
right?
really what's happened is Fast and Furious was like a reboot, but not a reboot, because like they're continuing storylines. But it was like a reboot.
It was a softcore reboot.
Soft reboot in the middle of the franchise that just chooses to retcon like whatever it wants whenever it wants. And from that
it just
point
took
forward.
certain elements.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the following 7 movies, or the 6 after that, are like just whatever they want forever.
Much.
Okay.
Well, that actually brings us to the next movie,
Tokyo Drift.
Fast and Furious 6.
Oh God, damn it! Tokyo Drift is already like 10 years old where we're at. Like in the real world, Tokyo Drift is over 10 years old when Fast and Furious 6 comes out.
It's about 9 years. It's 9 years.
Yeah, okay,
I think
thank you.
6 came out in 2014.
Decade. We're a decade away from the actual release of Tokyo Drift, which is insane because every movie they update the cars that they're driving, which means when Tokyo Drift happens, everybody in that is obsessed with cars that are like 10 years younger. Like, everyone's obsessed with, like, 2007 vehicles in Tokyo Drift.
So, Tokyo Drift came out in 2006, and Fast and Furious 6 came out in mid-2013. So
we're 7 years away.
Yeah, that's still not good.
So we get to Tokyo Drift, and all of a sudden, all the cars go back 7 years. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
What the fuck?
But don't think about it. So, Fast and Furious 6 introduces... Luke Shaw. No, I'm sorry. Owen Shaw.
Luke Hobbs, Owen Shaw.
Yeah.
So Jason Statham shows up and he's like, when you've already sent a guy to go get the
Luke
devil
Evans.
And he hasn't found him yet, I'm the guy you get.
Nope, because it's Luke Evans. It's Owen Shaw, who is Deckard Shaw. That's Jason Statham. It's his younger brother.
Oh my God.
So
it's family.
Yeah, family. All about family. I love Luke Evans, but this one to me is probably one of the worst ones in the franchise.
Yes.
Luke Evans is an international former, like, Black Ops, British Special Forces, he could kill you with his thumb kind of person. You find out
Interpol.
Yeah, I'm gonna really here we go. This is gonna be the ultimate speed run of 6 because to me, again, it's the worst one. So Luke Evans has this ragtag team. They're basically like the anti-opposite version of Dom's team. There's a guy who snacks. There's a comic relief. There's the tech guy. There's they've got like the opposites. It's like one of those things.
Yeah.
You find out that Letty. Yeah, you find out that Letty is working for Owen Shaw, but oh my God, she doesn't have a memory because even though we saw in number 4 that the guy shot her at the last minute, he aimed at the gas tank and blew the car up, which sent her into a ditch in Mexico, where then she lost her memory. And then for whatever reason, Owen Shaw was in a hospital in Mexico and was like, I'm going to take you and make you my henchman, even though I know nothing about you. And that's how Letty ends up with Owen Shaw. But then
weird.
Luke Hobbs is like, hey, Dom, I found you. I tracked you down. It's been more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
But hey, I need your help because you're the only person in the world. Your team is the only team in the world that can help me take down Owen Shaw and his team.
So he just forgot about like the money. Like The Rock just like he's like, I don't care.
He was just like, I don't care.
Nice trick with the safe. You're my guy now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Keep going.
So then he's like, oh, but you don't want to do this? Well, you're going to want to, because look at this. Here's a picture of Letty. She's still alive.
She's working with this guy.
Yeah, and then so they get the whole team back together, and then Owen Shaw's whole plan is he's stealing these devices to create a bomb called a Nightshade device that could wipe out. It's like an EMP on steroids is the only way I can think of to explain it.
Okay.
And so then it's just a series of events where Dom's team is chasing Owen's team. And there's the tank scene, which is just... Look, I love dumb action stuff, but there's a scene in that where Dom flies off a car, grabs Letty, and then lands on another car. Have you seen that scene?
No.
I'm going to send it to you after this. It's insane.
That's fine.
There's also the infamous airplane scene on the 20-mile-long runway.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, this whole movie just boils down to, again, the villain just being the dumbest person in the world, because once he finds out that Letty, like, knows Dom and is starting to get her memory back, instead of just killing her like he's killed other people on his team for less, he, like, lets her... He, like, thinks that she's still on his side. And, yeah, it basically just ends where, you know, Owen gets kicked out of the plane, Letty kind of gets some of her memory back, and... the other big point that happens in this is Giselle, Gal Gadot's character, dies saving Han, quote, because unquote. they're lovers.
Yep, she dies. Got it.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm laying down because this is ridiculous.
Okay, so
I'm here. I'm still here, Odie. I had to lay down. This is too much.
So Fast and Furious 6 basically
Lord of the Rings was 3 movies, but this is fucking 11 ridiculous.
Don't worry, we're over halfway done.
Okay.
So, yeah, 6, basically to put a pin in it there, it's like, it feels like a filler episode of an anime. It's very over the top.
The whole thing should have been an anime.
This is where Roman becomes very goofy. This is where Tej, like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, becomes, like, the most skilled hacker tech person in the world. Like,
just out of nowhere. He just shows up.
Just out of nowhere.
I'm an expert this entire time. I'm Chris Bridges, fuckers. All right, cool.
And then, you know, Elena's there with Dom, and then when she finds out that, you know, Letty's still alive, like, they break up, and, you know, she still works for Hobbs, and yeah, that's pretty much all that happens in this one, if I'm being honest. There's not a lot. So you ready for the next movie? Can you guess what it is?
I mean, I can't get any lower. I had to lay down already because this is so much.
So you ready for the next movie? Can you guess which one?
Tokyo Drift.
It's Tokyo Drift.
Thank you.
We're finally there.
Finally. Jesus
look,
Christ.
I'm gonna very, very quickly speedrun Tokyo Drift because there is something.
No, let me speedrun it. All right.
No, wait, hang on, because there's one thing that is very important to remember about Tokyo Drift.
Yes, is that Han's there.
Okay.
Hold on.
Not even.
Hold on.
Okay, go for it.
Let me try to speedrun Tokyo Drift because this is my like favorite of all the Fast and the Furious movies because it's so stupid.
I'm gonna change your mind on that.
That's fine. But all right, so an actor, this high school kid played by an actor who's clearly closer to 30 than 18.
He's 27 when he filmed.
Thank you. Gets caught racing cars, and then gets sent to fucking Japan.
With his dad, because his dad's in the military.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're going to Japan, where they definitely don't have cars for you to race."
Yep, pretty much.
So he goes to Japan and immediately becomes friends with a guy who races cars and Lil Bow Wow, who has a bunch of cars.
Twinkie. His name is Twinkie.
Whatever, Lil Bow Wow. So
Lil Bow Wow.
Him, Lil Bow Wow, and Asian friendo guy. They all go to a place where everybody's hanging out with clearly a bunch of underage girls and racing cars and working on cars. And he falls in love with an Asian lady who likes working on cars and is sexy because she works on cars, right? Am I 100% correct so far?
Yep, you're spot on.
But that creates a romantic rivalry between him and the guy from Asia who doesn't like him. And then he's like, we don't just race here, we drift. And then they're drifting, and he's an American, so he sucks at it. And then he's got to prove to everybody that he knows how to drift. And then he and the Asian lady learn how to drift together, and they have a very romantic / electric drifting scene. And then there's an accident, and her brother dies, right?
No, Han dies in the accident.
Okay, so Han dies in the accident, and then. And then they got a race, and her dad doesn't want her to have anything to do with this racing American boy. But then he proves himself, and that's the whole movie.
I mean, pretty much.
Right, cool. Yeah, I did it. I know that movie.
I'm not even going to even really go into any more details.
You don't have to.
But there is one thing,
all there is.
and this is the only thing I want to say about Tokyo Drift, because I have been told by people when I told them I was watching all of them back to back, that people were like, "Oh, Tokyo Drift's like the best one." So here's why it is objectively the worst one.
Hit me.
When you realize that the main character, whose name is Sean Boswell, when you realize that he and the girl that he has a crush on, and Little Bow Wow's character, when you realize that they are all 17, and then you put in perspective that the guy that's in love with the girl that Sean's in love with is in his late 20s, and Han is at this time in his 30s, and they're hanging around high schoolers, and they're in love with high schoolers, and they hire high schoolers to do illegal stuff. It really makes the movie unwatchable. When you realize that the 17-year-old kid from America goes to his Navy dad and is like, I gotta do this. I gotta take care of this because I made this mess. Dude, that should have been like, you're fucking 17. You're grounded, going back to America, and I'm calling the fucking cops. Like, what? And the fact... Yeah.
Here's the only reason I think it's the best is because it's so ridiculous, and I don't think about anything other than what is on the surface of that film, which is just like, all right, there's some cool cars, they're drifting, they're having a fun time. But here's actually, because remember, I rewatched this recently. I just turned it on like on a night where like I didn't want to watch anything that I had to think about. I just turned it on in the background, and I realized they don't even drift until like 40 minutes into the fucking film. Like,
oh yeah, no,
it takes them. It's called Tokyo Drift. He gets to Tokyo within 15 minutes. He doesn't drift. There's no drifting until like 40 minutes. There's 35 minutes of build up to the drift part. It's called Tokyo Drift. He should have gotten there and seen it immediately. Like.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So,
right,
moving on. We're going to on to what is it's my second favorite. There's only two good movies in this franchise. Are we skipping to 10? Furious 7.
Okay, so at this point, we've thrown naming mechanisms completely out the window, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the title is. They just happen in a particular
Yeah, here we go.
order.
You ready?
Okay.
Here's the titles of all the movies. Okay. The Fast and the Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious. Yes. Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Should have been
Fast and Furious.
All right.
Fast 5. Fast and Furious 6. Furious 7.
Wow.
Fate of the Furious.
They're not even fast
F9.
in the 7th one.
Fast X.
The 7th one, they're like, fuck going fast. We're just furious.
They're just furious.
We're going to drive a bunch of bulldozers in this one.
Now, this one, like I said, I actually genuinely like this one. So I want to kind of spend a little bit of time going over it because I genuinely...
You've spent too much time already.
So Furious 7... Yeah. The antagonist, there's two. One is Deckard Shaw, the older brother of foremost mentioned
your favorite actor
Owen Shaw.
Ever.
Jason Statham, baby.
Hooray. Jason Statham.
And then you've also got wonderful
Charlize Theron.
Damon Hansu, who you would probably know from... He was in Rebel Moon as General Tybus.
No.
The general guy. You remember him?
I don't remember.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. If you saw him, if you looked him up, you would definitely recognize him.
Okay.
And also Tony Jaa's in this movie, which is really fun.
Love Tony Jaa.
Yeah, me too. So this movie sets up, hey, like, again, because Dom is an idiot.
Why is Tony Jaa there?
He's just a fighter. You know, they get fighters.
Does he
in
drive
these movies.
too?
No, Gina. Remember Gina, whatever, the big wrestler lady that got canceled from Disney that was like an anti-masker and anti-vax and all this other crazy stuff,
yeah,
and she was in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
She's in the 6th one. I didn't mention her because it's not worth it. They bring in like fighters.
They just bring in random like action type people.
Well, yeah, because The Rock was in the 5th one. He was a wrestler, and then Gina, whatever her name was, is in the 6th, and then Tony Jaa's in the 7th. Yeah, Carano.
Yeah, I knew it. All right.
So this movie,
so Tony
7.
Jaa, does he throw a flying knee?
He fights a lot. His fight scenes are the best. He actually fights Paul Walker's character twice, and they're really actually pretty good fight scenes.
Does he kick the shit out of him? Because that's what would happen.
Yes. The first fight he does. The second fight, he's about to win, and then Well, we'll get to it. So this whole movie is about Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham, trying to get revenge
for Owen Shaw.
He ends up taking out Hobbs in the very beginning.
Okay.
He blows him out of a 10-story building, and of course, The Rock is fine. He just breaks his arm and has to go to the hospital.
Just breaks his arm. It's in his contract. Yeah. All right, keep going.
He lands on a car. It's fine. Cars are notoriously soft.
Yeah, notoriously.
So, basically,
you should see me. I'm just laying on the floor, just giggling at this point.
We're loving this.
Yeah.
So there is somebody named Mr. Nobody, and that is played by Kurt Russell. And basically, Kurt Russell's character is this like secret government agency guy who recruits Dom and his team to take down
Deckard Shaw.
Not take down Deckard Shaw, but to take down Damon Hunsu's character, who I believe his character's name is like Jakande or something. He's a South African, or he's from Africa.
Okay.
And so they're like, hey, if you help us get this thing called God's Eye, who this hacker lady
I remember
person
hearing about this. Yeah.
named Ramsey created. He's like, if you help us get this back from the terrorist guy played by Damon Hunsu, we'll use God's Eye to help you find Deckard Shaw, and then you can take Deckard Shaw down before he takes you down, right? That's actually, in my mind, that's a pretty good plot.
That's not a bad plot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you help us take down this guy to get this MacGuffin device, and then we'll let you use that.
This one's the most promising sounding so far.
It honestly, again, there are some silly moments, but this one to me is really good. There's some silly moments,
as you do.
But so there's a really cool scene where they parachute cars in on top of a mountain.
Okay.
Which again, like it's silly, but I love the idea.
Are they on skis?
No, they're just parachute and they land on the road, and then they just detach the parachutes and start driving after the bus that has Ramsey.
Oh, that's fine.
And it's pretty good. So there's a big fight scene. Tony Jaa and Brian or Paul Walker's character fight on a bus, and then
is Tony Jaa a bad guy?
Yeah, he's a bad
guy.
Oh,
okay. I like this even more.
Yeah, he works for the terrorist guy played by Damon Hunsu.
He's like his head henchman.
Yeah, pretty much. So they fight on the bus. The bus gets like flipped. So they're fighting on this bus as it's like rolling.
Upside down.
Yeah, it's like really cool. And then Tony Jaa ends up locking. There's like a metal gate in the bus.
Yeah.
It's like a door, and he locks Brian out, and then he jumps off the bus. Yeah, it's because that's where Ramsey was. So he locks Brian up, and then like Brian escapes from the bus just before it falls off the mountain, which is really cool.
Did he break his arm?
No, he's fine.
He's fine.
And then
barely a scratch, whatever.
A silly moment. Dom has Ramsey in his car, and he gets surrounded on a cliff face by all of the terrorist people, right?
Yeah.
And so he just drives off the mountain.
Dom?
And yeah, he just rolls his car down the mountain and
like
completely?
Survives.
Yeah. And survives.
Wow.
So then
do they play
take
Jesus
Ramsey.
Take the wheel while he does that? In
Jesus
motion?
take the wheel.
Is that
no Freebird? It was Freebird, but
was it?
No.
Oh.
It's literally just the sound effect of silence, and then the car smacking into the ground, and then silence, and then the car smacking into the ground. Wow. It's really great.
Down an entire mountain.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. With Ramsey,
trees?
A couple.
Weird. All right.
But his car's invincible.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then it jumps into where, Mr. Nobody is like, okay, if you want to, we'll use God's Eye to find Deckard Shaw, but then Ramsey's like, I don't have it. And they're like, what do you mean you don't have it? And she's like, well, I knew I was going to get captured because I'm not an idiot, so I hid it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, where did you hide it? She's like, well, I gave it to my friend in Dubai. So then they go to Dubai.
They got to go to Dubai.
And this is, again, kind of like where the heist comes in. It's in a penthouse from a billionaire on the top story of a skyscraper.
Okay.
So they have to infiltrate. Ronda Rousey's there. She fights Letty. Michelle Rodriguez and Ronda Rousey fight.
Did she
another
kick
fighter.
The shit out of her?
You would think, but somehow Letty wins.
Wow.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief. So this honestly is one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it's just silly enough for me to enjoy it. But the chip is inside a car, and the car is up on top of this building.
Yep.
And they're like, we don't have time to get the chip out. Let's just, we're just going to jump in the car, and I'll drive it around while we're getting shot at because it's bulletproof. While Dom's driving the car, Brian's trying to find the chip inside the car, right?
Okay.
So they jump. There's 3 skyscrapers, and they jump from one skyscraper to the next, and then from that skyscraper to the next.
How do they jump there?
They jump with the car. They just speed out the window, crash through the window, and land in the other one because they're pretty close together.
So they're going down floors while this is happening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's fun. It's that to me.
An anime.
Agree. Sure. So they get the chip out, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna use God's Eye, and they find Deckard's like he showed up. I should mention he showed up at the penthouse and starts attacking them, and that's why they have to jump in the car and drive it across the building.
Jason Statham shows up.
Yeah, he shows up periodically.
He's like, I also want God's Eye.
He also wants God's Eye, and he also wants to kill,
So he's got
Dom
like a double
Brian.
objective now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the thing that I like about this, and I heard some complaints, but anytime Dom and his team are doing something, Deckard just shows up to be a nuisance.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, they're in the middle of fighting other people. Well, now Deckard's here, and he's shooting at you, too.
That's what they set him up to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it works really well.
That's fine. That's the character's purpose in this movie.
They go to the abandoned facility where they say Deckard is because, again, they use the MacGuffin device. But then, plot twist, Deckard, being a genius, teamed up with the terrorist. So now the terrorist is there, and they attack Dom and Mr. Nobody.
Who's the terrorist?
Damon Hunter's character.
All right, okay.
He's not a drug kingpin.
What's his
He's
name?
just
Ramses?
a warlord. No, his name is like Jaconda or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Ramsey is the hacker that created God's Eye.
Is that Charlize Theron?
No, she comes in the next movie.
Okay. I don't know, man. I'm just
I know, just
trying to keep track of this shit.
I know, it's hard. And I'm doing this from memory. Now keep in mind, like, the whole team is there, obviously. Like, you got Tej and Roman. Giselle's dead, and at this point, obviously, Han is dead.
Giselle's
because
dead for now.
I didn't say this, but at the beginning of 7, it's the death scene from Tokyo Drift with Han.
Oh,
but
yeah, okay. Yeah.
It cuts to Deckard Shaw walking away from it, and he's on the phone, and he's like, Dominic Toretto, you don't know me, but you're about to, and then the car with Han explodes.
Whoa.
Right? So Deckard killed Han.
Deckard killed him.
Yeah, kind of.
Han was definitely in that car, too.
Yeah, he was, because you saw him right before it exploded.
He was
looked at the
in
camera.
that car.
Yeah, it would take, like, some serious retcon magic to make that disappear.
Oh, wow.
So Mr. Nobody gets shot, and so he gets put out of commission.
Kurt Russell gets shot.
Yeah, he's alive, though. So then Dom is like,
fine,
okay. Yeah, he's fine. He was
I
wearing
love the hospitals in this universe. Those are the real heroes. Like
he was wearing armor. He was wearing armor, I should say.
First responders and nurses and shit are like, they're the bomb in this universe.
Yeah. He was wearing Kevlar, though, so he didn't actually get shot. It just knocked the wind out of him, like broke a rib.
Okay. So he gets shot, but okay.
Yeah. So they go back to L.A., and they're like, okay, we're gonna fight them on our home turf, which basically means we're gonna bring terrorists to LA. And
makes perfect sense. Why not?
There's a really good scene where
why wouldn't you do that?
So the terrorist and Deckard got God's Eye, right? They stole it in the raid, and so that's why they're like they take him to LA, and the terrorist guy is in a helicopter, and Shaw's on the ground, and there's a really good sequence where Ramsey's like, I can hack into God's Eye and like take control of it because she created it. So she has like a back door in. She's like, but it's gonna take me some time.
I made a back door, but I'm the only one who knows it. All right, cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Right? She created it.
Move,
classic hacker.
Classic.
So she's like, I have to stay close to them in order to make it happen.
Wait,
so
why
there's a really
couldn't
good
Tej
scene.
hack into it? Isn't he the best?
Well,
okay.
All
right.
Anyways, so there's a really good scene, like sequence where they're in cars, right? So like you have Letty driving a car, Brian driving a car, and then Roman and Tej are in a car.
Very classic.
And Ramsey's in the back seat of one.
Yes.
And as the terrorists get close and are about to like shoot at him or blow him up, they do like a hot potato thing with Ramsey and literally throw her into another car as it's passing by. Like they do really cool like maneuvers where like they drift around each other and like they grab her from one car and pull her into the other and stuff.
And she's got to hack the entire time while this is happening.
And she has her computer with her. And I mean, again, is it silly? Sure. But I think that because this one's done by James Wan, who I'm a big fan of, it does a really good job of...
He's a good director.
Like, I mean, the sequences, the action sequences in this one are not silly and over the top like the last one. They're just kind of silly.
Yeah.
They're not... Well, they're a little over the top. But again, it's done better. But anyways, Then Brian and Tony Jaa have a wonderful fight scene where Tony Jaa's about to literally like smash him over the head with like a giant cinder block.
Okay.
And Brian clips this like wire onto his belt and then kicks him in the chest and then sends this gigantic spool of wire down an elevator shaft, and it drags Tony Jaa down with him and kills him.
Oh no. Oh,
yeah, so Tony Jaa's dead. And then Ramsey's doing the hack and stuff. Terrace is in the helicopter. Dom finally confronts Deckard in one of the worst lines in movie history, where they're fighting. It's a really good fight scene. Vin Diesel's character has like 2 really big wrenches, and Jason Statham has like 2 really big metal pipes, and it's like a sword fight with like wrenches and pipes. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Now, before I tell you the worst line in movie history, because we're wrapping up number 7, the first time Deckard and Dom meet, they get out of their cars, they crash into each other, they get out of their cars, Dom pulls out a giant wrench, and Deckard pulls out a gun. And Deckard looks at him and goes, "Did you think this was going to be a street fight?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then some stuff happens. Deckard doesn't get to kill him, blah, 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 blah. But now here we are, the rematch, right?
Yep.
And
pipes and wrenches.
So the terrorist shoots a rocket at the parking garage that they're on top of. Deckard and Dom are fighting on top of a parking garage.
Okay.
And it starts to collapse.
Okay.
Dom looks up at Deckard. They're about 10 feet from each other. And he goes, "The thing about street fights, the street always wins." Then he stomps his foot, and where Deckard is standing collapses, and he falls into the parking garage.
That's the dumbest thing I've...
Yup. Then this is where it kind of gets off the rails a little bit.
Should have been an anime. Okay.
Yep. Then Dom jumps back in his car with a thing of grenades and sees the helicopter. And he's like, "I'm going to jump." He jumps his car and puts the grenades on the helicopter. And then the car crashes. And then I forgot to mention this, but Hobbs is back. There's a really infamous scene where he breaks out of his own cast.
Okay. And
then he crashes an ambulance into a drone, and then he picks up the minigun from the drone and starts to shoot at people with it.
Okay.
Not gonna lie, it's pretty fucking cool.
Okay.
So Dom slings the grenades onto the helicopter. He crashes his car. Hobbs, The Rock, he sees that. He shoots the grenades with his pistol, blows up the helicopter, kills the terrorist.
Wow.
Right? Deckard escapes, and everyone thinks Dom is dead. It's the second fake out death of Dom. But spoiler, he's fine. He's alive.
Yeah, I figured.
And yeah,
I mean, people
and that's where the seventh
die in this universe.
And then this is why I like this, because at the time of filming 7, Paul Walker, he died. He got in a car accident in real life.
Yeah, he crashed his car, right?
They only shot when he was the passenger.
Oh no, that sucks.
So he was. I think they filmed like maybe 60% of this movie. So there's a lot of scenes. And if you know it's there, you can easily tell. Maybe you can tell even if you don't. Where they used like Paul Walker's real brothers to fill in. And then they just like did the face swap with him.
Yep.
And so it ends with them on the beach. And the rest of the team, Roman, Tej, Dom, Letty, they're all like, Brian now has a family, because I haven't mentioned the sister at all. She literally just exists to be Brian's like motivation. She's never in the same scenes. A lot of her scenes, like literally in 5, 6, and 7, a lot of her scenes are she's just on the phone being like, "Brian, you do what you need to do, and then you come home to your family.
Yep.
Brian, you have Dom, and Dom's your family, and you do what you need to do, and then you come home.
Yep.
Brian, I'm pregnant, so we're gonna have another kid. So you do what you need to do, and you come home."
Okay. Yeah.
And so
what
they're on the beach.
Development.
They're on the beach, they're playing, and all the main characters are like, and it's a send-off to Paul Walker, right? Like, they're not talking about Brian, they're talking about Paul. They're like, hey, like, he deserves to have a happy life. And so then Dom drives away, and then Brian pulls up next to him and is like, "You thought you could leave without saying goodbye." That really big, nice song that's like, "And I see you again, it's been a long..."
Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
And then, it splits off, and then it ends, it fades to black, and then this text comes up and it says "For Paul," and it's literally the best spot you could have ended this franchise. It's
perfect
send-off for Brian.
It would have been great.
All these characters have arcs, there's love, there's lost, and then we have Fast and Furious 8, aka Fate of the Furious.
Oh my God.
So, Fate of the Furious, basically, in a nutshell, is... don't worry, we have 3 more movies.
No!
I'm going to try to speedrun Fate of the Furious because I genuinely think this one is like the down... This is where the franchise really... Now. Yeah, you are. This is where the franchise really, really, really dips in quality.
Okay.
8, 9, and 10 are all pretty bad. And not like, oh, this is fun and bad. It's just, oh, no, this is just bad.
Okay. Summarize 8 in 3 sentences.
No. So, I'll speedrun the plot, though, if you allow me.
I hope so.
Okay, here we go. It opens with Dom and Letty. They're in Cuba. This is the first movie to be filmed in Cuba in, like, a really long time. The director, F. Gary Gray, he's all right. Not my favorite director. He did that terrible Kevin Hart movie called Lift. Worst movie I've seen this year. Okay. Yeah, worst movie I've seen this year. Okay. But basically, they're in Cuba. There's a drag race. He wins some respect. Okay. He's on a honeymoon with Letty because you find out as Letty's memories are still coming back, which I do admit, I like that Letty gets reintroduced in 6, and over the course of movies, her memories kind of come back. It's not like she's just automatically the same person. Yeah. It was like a really good way to reinvent that character. Okay. And then... So Dom's on a honeymoon with her, and then he passes by this lady who's working on her car, and it's
Charlize
Theron. Yeah, she plays a character named Cypher.
She's finally
and she's
there.
Like, hey, Dom, I know who you are, and I know everything about you, and look at this video, even though we, the audience, don't get to see it. She's like, you're going to do everything I say. Okay? And he's like, I guess I will. And she's basically...
Like, you're going to betray your family.
I'm just going to kind of like say this out of order. Cypher has Elena, who was Dom's love interest briefly in 5 and 6 before Letty comes back.
Yeah,
turns out
they had a kid.
They had a kid. Okay. Now, this is what I was talking about where, like, she would have had to have gotten pregnant around the time 6 started, and then 9 months would pass, and she has a kid, right? But 7 clearly takes place, like, a year after 6, and so Fate of the Furious... Even if it took place right after 7, this kid would be about a year old. Yeah. But the kid's like an infant, which makes no sense. Yeah. But anyways, turns out she had a kid. It's Dom's kid. Cypher kidnapped him. Okay. She wants to blackmail Dom into doing stuff. Okay. And she knows that'll... Because she's kind of like an agent of chaos where she's like, I know your team are going to come after you. You know, are you going to pick your kid or your family or your team or your family or whatever?
Are you going to pick your real family or your car
family? Yeah, basically. So he betrays his team. They go to steal an EMP from Germany. He betrays Hobbs. Hobbs goes to jail. You know, Dom starts working for Cypher. The rest of the team is like, what is happening? Like, why would Dom do this? Yeah. Mr. Nobody is there. Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, is there. His character's name is Little Nobody.
Okay. Whatever.
There is the only... good scene in this movie is the prison escape where Jason Statham and The Rock have to escape prison together. That's pretty fun. Yeah, setting up their sequel or spinoff movie. Yeah. But yeah, basically, like, the Dom does a bunch of stuff for Cypher while the rest of the team, minus Brian, because, you know, he's not around anymore. He's dead. Yeah, he's still alive in the universe, though, which is interesting. But basically, you know, they're on Dom's tail, and then Dom... ended up putting a tracker in his famous necklace that he wears, and he put that in the plane. And then as the rest of the team, led by Hobbs, is attacking a abandoned Russian nuclear submarine base in Antarctica, Dom is there and helping Cypher steal this sub because she wants nukes. And then while that's happening, guess who? Owen Shaw and Deckard Shaw fly into the plane, and I will admit, this is the best scene in the movie. It's literally Jason Statham holding a baby in a carriage, fighting people on a plane, and he periodically stops to talk to the baby and is like, how we doing? You doing okay? Cover your ears, little man. This is gonna be nasty. And it's actually like a fun comedy action bit that I enjoy because it's Jason Statham. And so once Dom finds out that the baby is saved and everything is good. Oh, by the way, Cypher killed Elena. She shot her in the head.
She killed his family.
Yeah. So once that Dom knows that the baby is safe, he changes back to the good side and, comes to save the day and rescue his team and yada, yada,
what kind
yada.
Of car is he driving?
It's like a custom muscle car
But
with
his
a jet
car,
engine.
Right? His car.
Yeah, it's his car.
Yeah.
Well, not the famous car, but it's his car.
But it's his car. Yeah.
And so then, basically, Deckard's kind of a good guy now.
Yeah, whatever.
And Cypher escapes. And the baby's alive. And the movie ends where he's like, hey, everybody, I want you to meet my son. Do you know what he names his son?
Brian.
Yeah. Isn't that dumb?
Yep.
Like, if
Brian's still alive.
Yeah,
like,
Brian. Look,
Brian.
Why wouldn't you name the kid Paul?
Yeah, I named him Paul. That would have been much better. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea to
do that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And then they end up calling him Little Brian in later movies.
Little Brian. All right.
So then, that's basically the Fate of the Furious.
Okay.
It's
they had a fate. They did it. That's it, right?
So F9
okay.
is the next movie in the franchise, and this is where finally Jacob Toretto, Dom's brother that I mentioned way back at the beginning,
John Cena,
he comes back right now. In this movie, I gotta admit, I've only seen it once, but basically Cypher is back.
Okay.
Charlize Theron. She's hired Jacob Toretto. He doesn't like his
brother to fuck him up.
Yeah, he doesn't like his brother because he thinks his brother killed his dad, right?
Remember he raced him and said, "Get out of here."
Yeah, which is insane to be like, yeah, you killed my dad, you killed our dad.
He's
not
I'm
even
out
like
of juvie and now you have to leave.
Just have a conversation, like just sit down and
no,
talk.
they have to solve it with cars. That's the whole point, isn't it?
I like how you're still laying down, by the way.
I've given. This is how it would be if you tried to make me watch these movies. I'd just eventually be like a puddle on the floor, just like, okay, what's happening now? There's more family? Okay, got it.
So,
is anyone actually dead yet? No? Okay.
The plot of this movie is Cypher is using Jacob to steal stuff, and Dom and his team go after him.
So it's the plot of number 8, but with John Cena instead of Vin Diesel.
Here's what happens. Okay. So Mia, Dom's younger sister, who is Jacob's younger sister.
Yeah.
Finally
Paul
gets
Walker's
to come back.
Wife.
Yeah, so she's here and Letty's here, and they are tracking down info. They're trying to figure out what's going on, right? Like they're trying to. There's like a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
And they end up in Japan.
Okay.
Because they find out that Mr. Nobody was working
with Han.
With Han. Yeah. And this is where you find out that Han didn't really die. He's still alive, and he's protecting a girl who never shows up again.
Okay.
And so
dumb.
He's protecting this girl because her parents were scientists that created another MacGuffin device that,
God's Eye 2
can do stuff. Oh, I'm sorry.
Whatever.
I lied. Cypher, apologies. Cypher is not the one that's hiring Jacob. She is actually kidnapped by this rich, billionaire kid who Jacob is working for the billionaire, and they kidnapped Cypher.
Okay. So now she's hacking stuff for them.
No, she's just in like a clear box.
What?
In the middle of a room.
So
she doesn't really
just
do
Snow
much.
Whited her.
Yeah, basically.
They're like, all right, you're Snow White now. Enjoy.
So this
Maybe
movie,
someday your
not
prince will come.
Not a lot really happens. There's really dumb action. The CGI is really bad. Roman gets a death fake out where in the beginning, a thing lands on him and you think he's dead.
Who?
And Tej Roman.
Okay.
He's still around.
Yeah.
He gets a death fake out.
He's dead.
Ramsey gets to finally drive a car for the first time since she was introduced 3 movies ago.
Turns out she's great at it.
No, she's really bad at it. What else happens in this movie? Han's back.
Yeah, Han's
obviously
back.
At the end, the billionaire guy betrays Jacob, and he's like, oh, right. Okay, this is worth mentioning.
Okay.
You remember Sean Boswell from Tokyo Drift?
Yes.
So he and Twinkie, Little Bow Wow's character,
they show up.
They work in Hamburg, Germany as rocket engineers. So
what?
Part of the billionaire's plan is
to make a rocket.
He's gonna upload. He's sending a satellite into orbit, and that satellite has the chips in it, so that the MacGuffin device will work or whatever. I don't really remember what the device does.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Sean and Lil Bow Wow are working on it.
they're working on rocket engines, and so they strap a rocket engine to a car, and then Roman and Tej go into space in that car to take down the satellite.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, so there's that going on, and while they're in space, Dom and Han.
I can't help but think of like the force of like the drag that would be put on that car, and like just how it would end up. Like, have you ever shot off like something that's smaller than it should be to withstand the force that it's going to withstand, and like it just kind of ends up going all over the place before it crashes into the ground?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
So
that's all I can think of is just them like Looney Toony ballooning all over the place, and then just.
Oh, Cardi B's in this, by the way.
Whatever. Pass.
She's in there. She's briefly in it.
Keep going. Does she drive a car?
No.
Then I don't care. Keep going.
Yeah. So, the billionaire guy ends up teaming up with Cypher and betraying Jacob. So Jacob goes back on Dom's team.
Oh,
and
so he lets her out of the box.
They end up taking. They take out the billionaire guy. Cypher escapes for the second time.
And Jacob and Dom got to work together.
Jacob and Dom kind of work together, and at the end, Dom's like, Jacob tells him finally, hey, like, Dad promised me not to tell you because he thought you wouldn't understand. Clearly you didn't, because you made me fucking a villain and sent me away from everybody I ever knew and loved.
Yep.
And now I'm all fucked up. Yeah, it's not, again, Dom's fault, right?
Yeah,
like, the reason Jacob is the way he is. Yeah, they've made up. And then the 9th movie ends where Jacob, it's actually it's like the only good moment in the movie where Dom has a callback to the very first movie, where he hands Jacob the keys to his car, and he was like, a long time ago, a guy gave me a 10-second car as a second chance. Now I'm giving one to you, which is what Brian did to Dom in the first movie.
Wow, so they have all these like Paul Walker references just literally.
Yeah, because Brian and Dom are brothers. Yeah. So now that's basically the 9th movie. Like I said, it's just basically a way to introduce that Han's back, and hey, Dom had a brother for the last 9 movies. We just never mentioned it. Which brings us to Fast X, right?
Which I saw.
Yeah, you saw some of it. So let me go through the rest.
I did.
Yeah.
Jason
so the plot
Statham's
of Fast X.
We're going to be the best, Daddy.
Jason Statham's barely
Not Jason
in that
Statham.
one,
Sorry, Jason Momoa is like, Daddy, we're going to be the best ever.
Daddy,
we're going to be the best.
Did
Daddy.
you see in the beginning of that movie when like Roman and Tej roll up to the farm that Letty and Dom are at? Like, did you see how old that kid is that they call Little Brian?
No.
He's old enough to have conversations. He's old enough to start learning how to drive a car, which again, he was a baby in the 8th one. So
we've jumped way ahead.
Yeah, at least he has to be at least 6 or 7.
So much time has passed.
Yeah, it's kind of fucking insane.
Oh yeah, because Dom's driving a car with him, isn't he? He's like,
he's teaching him how to drift and shit. Yeah. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So basically, this whole movie, Dante, who is the 5th movie,
Jason
Reyes'
Momoa,
son,
the Gatling gun guy.
Yeah, he's on a revenge mission.
I'm gonna make Dom hurt.
Yeah, basically. Which I will admit, like, I like his motivation. I just wish it was in a better universe. Then you get introduced to Alan Ritchson, who is the guy that's playing Reacher, who I absolutely fucking love. He is now in charge of what they call the agency. So Mr. Nobody, Kurt Russell's character, has disappeared.
Yep.
But you meet his daughter, who is played by Brie Larson.
Yep.
Yeah. So
doesn't she shoot some guy with a shotgun like right off the
rip? She does some stuff. But anyways, basically what ends up happening in this movie,
mess around. And then here's the crazy.
Yeah.
She shoots a dude and then just hands the shotgun to the bartender. She's like, "Here, you take this." Like,
oh no, she hits him. No, she just beats him up. She doesn't shoot him.
Oh, sorry. She beats a guy up with a shotgun and then just hands it to the bartender.
Yeah.
So dumb.
So the whole plot of this movie is basically Jason Momoa wants revenge, so he's doing all these things.
Yeah.
He's framing them. You know, they get blamed for the Vatican because I didn't mention this, but in like the 6th or 7th movie, they all got full pardons, so they're no longer criminals. So that's why they're able to like do all these missions and work for the government.
But now they're criminals again.
Now they're criminals again. All their money is taken.
I love
the
how
team
bad
gets
the
split.
communication is. Like that one guy shows up, he's like, "I don't have a job in Rome." It's like, what the fuck, guys? Like,
yeah, it's like you guys didn't.
You guys don't
bother.
like keep track of your shit. Like,
so that means that like Roman and Tej and them didn't even talk to Little Nobody personally. They just got like an email.
I don't have a job.
Go to Rome, do this, and he was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, I guess we're going to Rome. Guess we're gonna go rob this.
Yeah,
thing.
it's the team gets split. Letty gets kidnapped gets captured and goes to a black site after Rome.
Okay.
And surprise, surprise, Cypher is there in the black site as well because she got arrested after she showed up. Well, she showed up after she shows up on Dom's doorstep. They send her to prison.
You mean those guys didn't kill her?
Apparently not.
Jason Momoa was like, all you guys have to kill her or your families die, and then they didn't kill her?
Yes, she escaped.
That means that a bunch of kids got murdered in this film off screen.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
So they're in the black site, and basically their entire storyline is trying to escape
from the black site.
Yeah, and then you have Roman, Tej, Han, and Ramsey, who were in Rome, and they get separated, and then it's all about them finding their way back. Their storyline doesn't really matter. And then you have Dom, who is, basically going solo
to try and get Jason Momoa, who's like, him. He's all Bugs
basically
Bunny.
Yeah, he ends up back in Brazil. He meets Elena's sister, who Dante,
new baby mama. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a drag race where Dante kills a character from the fifth one who I don't even remember.
You can drive.
And then he saves Elena's little sister.
Okay.
And then so while this is also going on, there's too many storylines in this movie too, because then you have Jacob Toretto, John Cena is with Dom's son, and he's trying, like, they're
to protect him,
doing like a buddy cop thing.
Yeah.
And it basically all comes to a head where on the same bridge where the Fast 5 movie ends, Dante shows up. God, fuck. So,
but then there's a dam.
Yeah, no, hang on. I'm not there yet. Alan Richardson's character, who's in charge of the agency, finally finds and captures Dom.
Yeah.
They're on the bridge. Dante blows up the vehicle that they're in, ends up shooting a lot of the guys that were working for the agency guy, Alan Richardson's character. His name is Ames. Then Dom and Ames work together to fight off Dante. Dante shoots Tess, but she lives. So Tess goes away, and now Dante escapes with God's Eye.
Whoa, it's back. Because
that's back. And then
nothing
Ames
ever
is
goes
like,
away in this universe.
No. And then Ames is like, hey, Dom, I know that this entire time you've been trying to tell me that you're a good guy and I wasn't listening, but
I believe
I'm listening now.
Yeah.
And so then they end up, I don't remember where it's at, but they end up, Dom gets dropped in through the plane on his car, and Jacob is there with little Brian, and they're in like a rocket car that shoots rockets.
Whatever.
Or grenades.
Whatever.
And then Little Brian jumps out onto the car to try to fix the jam.
Oh, stop.
And then Dante shows up and grabs him off the car and takes him. So then Jacob Toretto's like, oh no, I messed up. And Dom's like, we got this. And then Jacob's like, there's too many of them. So he blows himself up to take out all the guys that are following
but
him.
You know
right?
he's
so Jacob's
not dead. You know he's not dead. He's not.
I fucking hope he stays dead, because John Cena's the only smart one that was like, you're going to kill me off? I'm staying dead. Get me out of this franchise.
He's not.
2 movies was more
he's
than enough.
Come back.
If they bring him back, it'll be impressive, because he literally exploded in a giant ball of flames.
So did Han.
Yeah, but Han escaped. No, So
the dumbest franchise ever. Keep going.
Dom ends up getting his son back, and that's when they end up on the dam, where the 2 semi trucks come at him.
Yep.
They jump off the dam.
Down the dam.
And then you see the plane that Roman, Tej, Han, and Ramsey are on. And Roman's like, Dom, the backup's here. And then Dom's like, no, wait, it's a trap. And then in a surprise plot twist that nobody saw coming, Ames is actually a bad guy. And he shoots down the plane with a rocket, and it crashes off screen.
Whoa. So
and then,
all of them died.
And then that's where it ends. The movie ends with Dom looking up at Dante, the dam about to break. He's down below it. His team just apparently exploded. Ames is the bad guy. What's going to happen next?
Whoa.
Right? That's where the movie ends. But then there's an extra scene where we cut back to Letty and Cypher, who have finally escaped the black site prison.
Yep.
And Cypher's like, I've got a plan. And Michelle Rodriguez is like, we're in the middle of Antarctica. What's your plan? And then a submarine rises from the ice, and the hatch opens, and there stands Gal Gadot's character. She is alive.
Yep.
And that's where the movie ends.
Wow.
And that's where we're at in the Fast and Furious franchise. But because you're enjoying this so much, let's go ahead and go over the spin-off movie that I said we wouldn't cover.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'll stop there. But that is...
Stop it. I'm done.
That is the entire 10-movie timeline franchise that is Fast and Furious. There are, to count, you got Brian has a death fake out, Dom has 3 death fake outs, Letty dies and comes back, Han dies and comes back, Roman has a death fake out, Giselle has a death fake out. There are so many death fake outs. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's yeah. That's the word for it. It's awesome. This is only awesome. Yeah.
I'm glad you agree.
Yeah, it's great. One of the best ever.
So I'm glad you enjoyed my hour and a half indulgement on my from memory off the top of the dome recollection of the Fast and Furious franchise.
I really hope that knowledge pays off for you. I hope you're on Jeopardy someday and like it's a whole category. Just like Fast and the Furious things. Like, yeah. You'll crush that entire category.
Now, I don't want the lines to get blurred. Before I did this endeavor of watching all the movies in less than 48 hours, I would have actually called myself a fan of this franchise. I would have been like, yeah, like it's bad. I never said it's good.
Yep.
But I would have been like, it's one of the movies that I like to turn my brain off. Yep. I have seen every Fast and Furious movie in theaters since Fast and Furious 4.
Okay.
And that's been like my tradition.
Yeah.
Now, when you watch them all back to back and you're making notes for a video essay, you start to really realize it's not good.
No,
it's not even so good it's bad. It's just really bad. Like I said, there's 2 movies in an 11-movie franchise that I genuinely think are I wouldn't even call them good movies. They're just good for the franchise. They're the good movies in the franchise, but if you took them out of the franchise, I would not call them good movies. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, they're not.
But yeah. Fast and Furious, baby.
Wow, my brain is. I have to decompress with something. I don't know. I'm gonna watch like an actual anime. Okay. So this is something. This is gonna come up more and more. I'm gonna start I'm just gonna start when a movie is ridiculous and just wants to ignore like the laws of the universe that it's in. I'm just going to start saying should have been an anime because anime catches a lot of flack for being like, you know, kind of over the top sometimes and unbelievable. But at least in anime, you go in expecting it. Like you're ready for that ride. Fast and the Furious and other movies like it, especially in the action world, right? Like, even The Beekeeper could have been better as an anime because like in your, like you're ready for these types of things. Like The Meg could have been an anime for sure.
Oh yeah. No,
right.
That one would have been really good.
A lot of these movies could be animes and especially the Fast and the Furious, like there's already Initial D. There's already like other car racing anime. The Redline was amazing. And I think that it would highlight the ridiculousness even more. The other thing about this is like, I never thought the Fast and the Furious was like amazing. Like I remember watching the movie and being like, that was cool, right? Like that was the way I described it.
For 2001.
And even now, like if you sat me down and you watched it, I'd probably watch it and come away with like, oh, there's some cool racing scenes, you know, like, but that's it. Like that, I'm not walking, but I also, the reason I don't turn these movies on is because most of the time when I have time, I'm not looking for something like that. I'm not looking for like, oh, that's cool, right? I'm looking for like, I want something like, you know, like I want like a thriller or an anime.
And I like to hurt myself this way.
I guess you do.
Because you know what I'm doing next?
What?
I'm watching all the Transformer movies.
That's
all
gross.
7 of them.
Yeah, I'll pass on that too.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
It's very gross. I'm not looking forward to it. But
What's
I'm
your obsession with bad movies about cars?
I just really like this idea of watching them all, and then because I've never done anything like it for my YouTube channel, I'm excited to do like a really long video essay about how bad this franchise is.
Okay, cool. Love it.
That's really all
what's
there
your
is.
jam this week?
Whew. Okay. You go first when my brain catches up.
My jam is, I don't even know if I said this last week. My jam is the new season of True Detective. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this off pod.
Did we?
A little bit.
Yeah. Off the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the new season of True Detective is amazing. The first season was amazing. Like, I remember watching that. And I didn't really get it in the first season, even at the end, because they did such a good job grounding it as a human thing. These are Lovecraftian tales. These are H.P. Lovecraft style mysteries. And it's so perfect because H.P. Lovecraft stories especially the ones that have to deal with like Cthulhu or some of like the elder gods, right? Like these weird like creatures and like entities and these unfathomable experiences that people go through. A lot of them were detective like. It's someone unraveling the mystery of something only to find something infinitely more horrifying or revelatory than they thought they were going to get. And this season kind of gets like right into it in the beginning. It's really good. So big recommendation on that, because in the first season, like you could go away from that thinking like, oh, that was an interesting detective story. It didn't end the way that I thought it would, but at the end of it, and this isn't like a spoiler thing. There's a reference to like they're talking about like the stars and how there's more black space in the universe than there is light, but like it's a good thing that there's light. You know, that those distant twinkles are important, and that's very Lovecraftian too, like, because that's what we are in Lovecraftian tales. We're these little tiny things in this giant vast unknown, and this season is getting back into that really, really well. And like season 2 sucked, season 3 was okay, this season's like, I'm pumped. It's really
about
good.
What I've heard over the course of this. I do want to watch True Detective. I've been meaning to get to it.
You should, and you should definitely watch season 1. You should definitely... I mean, season 2. Okay, Colin Farrell and Rachel McAdams are amazing in season 2. They're amazing.
That's what I was looking at
in season 2, but the season itself is bad.
And season 3, isn't it Vince Vaughn and?
No, that's season 2.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I might watch them all just for the sake of watching them
I mean, you should. Like, I watched season 2. I didn't like it that much. And like at the end, I was like, oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
But this particularly Jodie Foster comes in as the main in this, and
I love
and
Jodie
like
Foster.
And it's small town Alaska, and the story starts during the last sunset of the year. So like It's like December 17th, the sun is setting, it's the last sunset of the year, and then like so every episode of this it's at night, but it's like the day, you know, like it's
cool.
It's so good.
That's a good
yeah,
setting.
It's really,
That's a
really
good
good.
setting.
Yeah, so everything's dark, everything's weird, and like I said, they jump right into the Lovecraftian stuff, and I really enjoy that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's my jam.
My jam, I've got 2 because one is a quick one.
Okay.
I finally finished Blue-Eyed Samurai.
So good.
Awful. Just kidding. It's really good. I fucking loved every minute.
I did not expect that.
No. The ending, I'm not going to say anything about it other than, like, did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really good.
I don't really want to say much about it other than you should just watch it. Like, it's just so good.
Blue-Eyed Samurai is really, really good. And even the ending, like, I was like, okay, this is getting a little crazy, but I like where it's going. I was like, okay. Yep. This is going to be really good. Like it. And there's a reason that's gotten all the praise that it's gotten, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Deserves it.
Yeah.
And then my other jam is I finished watching the 2nd season of Reacher, and I've mentioned it earlier on the podcast. Phenomenal. Just like really well done.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Even if like the John Wick style stuff where it's just like a one-man army rolling through people isn't your style, I think that this is different enough and does that in a way that like Reacher, again, Alan Richardson, the guy that was in Fast X.
Yeah.
If I saw that man in real life and I was hired to beat him up, I would take one look at him and be like, nah, never mind. Sorry.
Like,
you have a great day. Do you want to go get coffee? Like, do you want me to buy you dinner? Like, I'm so sorry for inconveniencing you. Like, please don't even flick me. Yeah. Like, the dude is so jacked that when I watch him punch people, I'm like, oh my God, that's got to be like getting hit with like a cinder block.
Oh, yeah.
Which he does.
No,
he hits somebody with a cinder block.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm a big fan.
That's cool.
Those are my jams.
That's awesome. My other jam, I have a short music jam real quick, actually. I've been really loving the Home Team lately. I think they're from out your way. They're from like either Salt Lake City or Denver. But like they're leaning into a sound that's like kind of like pop post-hardcore, funky. Like it's just fun. Big recommendation. Their new video for the song Loud, you can tell, like, I don't know if they did this intentionally or not, or like I don't know how this was incorporated, but the singer keeps doing this dance that I'm like, you want this to be a TikTok. I know you want this to be a TikTok. Like you keep doing the same dance move in this thing. But it's actually like really fun because He's like a taller dude with like a goatee and like long hair, and he's wearing like tracksuits in the video. It's just fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So one last thing that I want to touch on: Charlize Theron got brought into this franchise. Was this around the time that she was like getting ready to do Atomic Blonde, or was this like before Atomic Blonde? Because I know, like, there's Atomic Blonde was supposed to be like the female John Wick, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like she's brought into this franchise, but she's more so used as like a hacker type villain.
Came out in the same year
as Atomic Blonde. So she had like 2 action movies. This one she's obviously continued in, but does she do any like fighting in these?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then she's obviously like a badass fighter.
Yeah, she's all right.
Okay, whatever.
I'm trying to see which one came out first. So Fate of the Fierce came out first by like 3 months.
Wow. And yeah, and then okay, so then she does Atomic Blonde, and I like that she's coming in as like this this like action packed hacker villain turned good guy. I mean, and I think this is probably what makes me dislike this franchise the most. When are they going to stop just like at the end being like, well, you were the bad guy for this entire thing, but now you're the family? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is it?
The reason
and it
for
doesn't
that...
matter because like, and this is probably the biggest thing. These bad guys are like killing tons of people that they know.
Mm-hmm.
Like just tons. Like they're just mowing down people that
it.
I know, but even other people around. Like there's so many people around this family that I feel like if I met these people, like knowing what I know about these people, right? Because there's no way, first off, there's no way that they get to do all this stuff without any of it. We live in the age of the internet. Like this stuff would be filmed. It would be viral. Like people would know that these people exist. If I met these people in real life, I would be like, you stay the fuck away from me because everyone else around you dies. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So unless you're going to give me a car right now, which means my chances for survival go up exponentially.
Yeah,
I'm
pretty
out.
much you're invincible.
If you don't give me a
car
right now, I'm leaving.
Put me in Dom's car.
Yeah.
He's invincible.
And then I'd turn around and like the villain would show up and gun me down from a helicopter or something.
Oh, well, I did forget to mention one thing.
What?
All the main characters drank from the Fountain of Youth, so they can't die.
Oh,
it's off screen.
What movie does
it's
that
implied.
happen in?
It's an implied that it happens somewhere between 1 and 10.
What? You said 7's your favorite.
One of them, yeah.
What's your
7's
favorite one? Because you just gave me
7.
I have to ask a couple questions before we end this podcast.
Okay.
First off, which one's your favorite?
It would genuinely, I think 7 and 5 are like on par with each other, so they're both my favorites.
And then which one's your least favorite?
Tokyo Drift is pretty bad because it's all underage stuff, but I think the worst one
from a movie perspective.
6.
Okay. And then which one is the most skippable? Like if anyone actually does, like say anyone listens to your essay and they want to go back through and they want to watch this, like which one is the one that they should skip and which is the one that they definitely can never skip?
So you can skip 1, 2, and you can skip the first one, the second one, and Tokyo Drift. 100%. They do not matter.
So the first 3.
Yeah, everything you need to know, you find out in the fourth one. So like anything you need to know about these characters, you find out anyway.
So what you're really saying is like there's 6, maybe because there's a 7th spinoff. So like there's 6 Fast and the Furious movies that actually matter when it comes to this universe.
There's 7.
4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, so 7. All right, so there's 7 Fast and the Furious movies that actually matter, and then 1 spinoff that you can watch if you want. And then, then you can actually skip the first 3.
If you want, the spinoff is good. If you like, genuinely, this is why I will probably watch it more than I'd watch any of the others.
Okay.
If you like Jason Statham, The Rock, if you like Kevin Hart, Ryan Reynolds, if you like Idris Elba, these are all people in the movie.
Isn't this just
They're
Red
all fun
Notice?
to watch.
Are you're talking about Red Notice now?
Yeah, Red Notice. The best movie ever.
If you like Red Notice, just watch Hobbs and Shaw as well.
Basically all those people show up and it's good. But yeah, realistically, you could skip 1 through 3. You could probably even skip 4.
Yeah.
If you don't care about where these characters come from because they change so much, you could just really watch 5, 6, 7 and consider it a trilogy.
What would let's say the next movie comes out and
It
you
is
watch
next
it.
year.
What is
I will.
What would completely stop you from watching this franchise? What would keep you watching this franchise? Double question there.
What would keep me watching the franchise is if they really, like in this next one, if they just leaned in to the over the top silliness, and like Transformers showed up, or like G.I. Joe, or like if like fucking Godzilla showed up and they had to fight Godzilla with cars. Like, yeah, Jurassic Park was in this universe. Like, if they leaned this so heavily into like, we gotta take down the T-Rex with Nos. I would be like, fuck yeah, let's go.
What if they did wacky races? You know, like old school, like speed racer style, or
like
something.
all of a sudden, like Mario Kart style, where they're like throwing banana peels and like their cars are spinning out.
What if they did wacky races?
100%.
All right, cool.
I would love that. What would stop me from watching this franchise is, I don't want to watch it anymore.
Oh, okay. So you're done after the next one unless they really, really, really get silly.
I don't care how this next one goes. It's not going to do what I would like, which is the silliness.
Yeah.
This next one is going to be another Vin Diesel passion project, and it's just going to have poor writing.
Yep.
It's going to have really bad CGI again.
Yeah.
They're going to, Gal Gadot is now back from the dead, and Cypher's a good guy. I was on board with Deckard becoming a good guy because he didn't kill anybody except for Han, and then they actually, I didn't mention this, but in the 9th movie, in the 10th movie, they do end up at Shaw's house, and Han and him get to have like a, hey, like, sorry I tried to kill you kind of moment.
Okay.
And that's pretty good. And, because like Han literally has like no hard feelings. He's like, I get it. Like, it's all right.
He just
like
gets
Han
it.
is so chill.
I'd be like,
Han's
fuck
chill.
you tried to take away my whole existence. Like, no, I'm
well, because it worked out for Han's favor, because now he was able to work undercover. It doesn't matter.
Whatever. No, that doesn't. No, there's no silver lining. I'm pretty sure. Okay, and this is probably going back to like, this is probably the biggest thing that keeps me from watching this universe. If someone tries to murder you, right, like prevent you from doing anything else ever again, ever, you either die or you need to stop that person from having the chance of murdering you again. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't happen in this universe. They're just like, yeah, you're fine. You exist. Right? Like, no, there's billions of other people that we can train to drive and be a vendetta machine. Like, we could just do this. It's fine. We can. Like, and that's probably,
to answer your question,
that's also the other thing is it seems like even though there's like bystanders and collateral damage and stuff happening, like there's not enough
there's no consequences, really.
Well, and in the same way that, like, I would say even, like, the first 3 Star Wars movies has, like, there's no consequence for the actions. Like there's nothing that follows. Like, you just said, like, they get absolved of all their crimes before 10. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they definitely murdered, like, federal agents and people. And, like, in any sense of, like, reality, they would just be in jail. Like, they would just it would just be like, you're in jail, and not only that, we're gonna put you in a jail that doesn't even have cars go to it. Like, we're gonna put you in a jail that people just get walked to, and then you're gonna be on an island in jail. That's it.
But to genuinely answer your question, the next movie, I just know it's not gonna be. It's just not gonna be good. Yeah. Like, the last one set it up. It's just, I don't want to watch this franchise anymore because to me, they had something really good going, and they just really, really turned it. They let Vin Diesel just make it whatever he wants. Yeah, they kept trying to one-up themselves, and it just got to the point where the one-ups were silly and over the top, but they were still trying to take themselves seriously, and those two things just don't work.
So he's taken the franchise hostage.
Well, so I was going to mention this. So in Tokyo Drift, Dom doesn't Vin Diesel's not in Too Fast, Too Furious or Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
And the reason is after the first movie came out, he started getting, I think he did like XXX, and he was doing Riddick.
Yeah.
So like he had other franchises, and to be honest, nobody thought that this franchise was going to go anywhere. But he has the cameo at the end of Tokyo Drift. He agreed to do that because by doing so, Universal gave him the rights to the Chronicles of Riddick franchise.
Yeah.
So
they were like,
and
if you do this cameo, we'll give you the rights.
he also got partial creative control of the Fast and Furious franchise as well.
It seems like he has most of the creative control.
Yeah, because they were already planning the fourth one when Tokyo Drift came out.
Yeah. Okay, so FasTEN Part 2 is the title of the next one, right?
Sure. Yeah. Let's say yes. I don't know.
So it's not Fast 11.
It's Fast X Part 2 is what the working title is, but I'm sure they're going to change it to like...
Well, then they'll put like... Yeah. They already did Fate of the Furious, so they can't do it again.
Do you know what Fast X should have been called? Can I just say this real quick?
Yeah, hit me.
Tell me this isn't the best name for the 10th movie in a franchise about cars.
Hit me.
FasTEN, your seatbelts.
Ba, ba, ba. Wow. All right. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, FasTEN, your seat. Why was that not the tagline?
I don't know, but it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow. Vin Diesel needs to call you. You need to have creative rights.
I have ideas
on this. You do.
I have ideas. I'll keep this franchise going.
Yeah, you should. Wacky races, baby. This universe makes no sense.
Oh, of course not. What did you think it would?
Like even plot-wise.